That's right.
It's like a Florida dating show.
Oh boy.
I now live in Conway, South Carolina. I am a finance major.
My name's Jordan. I'm 19.
Oh my
I'm from
God.
Pawleys Island, South Carolina, and I'm a competitive surfer.
Something interesting about myself. There's so many things to pick from.
Great.
Woo.
Off to a great start.
Great
Finally,
content.
dude. Oh
Go
my God,
forward
I've
to
been
when they're
itching for
actually next to each other. It gets really okay.
Honestly, they
Here we go.
shouldn't.
Keep going. They'll like cut to them and they'll be like right next to each other.
Australian internet, everybody.
Yeah, there you go. It's about to happen.
To meet that man in person, I don't think he's real. So if I could just, have a nice 4-course meal with the guy, ideal first date, I would never live that down. Like,
flag.
I'm trying if
your guys' ideal date.
Okay, my ideal date is dinner with Kim Jong-un himself. That is like a dream goal of mine to meet that man in person. I don't think he's real.
What the fuck is happening? What an airhead. Jesus Christ.
So if I could just, have a nice 4-course meal with the guy, ideal first date, I would never live that down. Like, I could never forget the guy because, like, it's like, oh, it's the day I met Kim Jong-un. Like, what? How do you live that?
That is the appropriate face.
Down, I don't know.
I like to take all my first dates to the aquarium. It's pretty notorious for me. All my friends know that I take them all there. Might as well.
Her reaction was my reaction to her. She's like, the aquarium? What kind of dictator is that?
Add you to the list.
Why do you take them to the aquarium?
It's dark. Nobody can see your face.
It's a funny answer.
So just take them to a fucking party.
Nah.
It's like the same thing.
I like looking at fish.
Okay. What's your favorite fish?
I like sharks.
Oh, I love sharks.
I
love
like
a
turtles.
good fucking shark.
Would you ever consider hooking up on the first date?
Would I ever consider hooking up on the first
my
date? I don't know.
God.
I think it depends because, like, if I don't like you, I'm just gonna have like one of my friends fake a seizure and I have to go run and save them. But if I like you, like, I guess
He's like, this was a mistake.
I have not had sex on the first date. I don't know the person well enough yet, and if they have any fucking STDs or anything lingering around in their balls.
Would I hook up with someone on the first date? No.
Oh my
because,
God.
like I said, our first date would be to the aquarium, and I don't want to smell fish.
You already smelled the fish all day. I don't understand.
I don't want to smell it later on that day.
Why does the pussy smell like fish after the aquarium? Like, was she swimming with the fucking sharks? I don't understand.
It's the aura.
The aura of someone's
This is
vagina?
hilarious.
That has got to be a joke.
Type shit. She definitely has a good sense of humor, and that's the number one thing that I look for. Because
She
if
can
you can't
totally
deal
hear
with my
him.
jokes, then I don't.
No,
wanna
she's
deal with your
listening to
bullshit.
music.
I don't like the
Oh, is
fact
she?
that he was trying to insinuate that all women's vaginas just stink after hitting the aquarium.
Based off what you've heard so far, would you go on a date with her?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if I want him to
Interesting.
take me
I
to
would
the
have said
aquarium because
no.
the whole time I'm just going to be thinking that he thinks my vagina smells.
We would go to the aquarium, and she would get to meet Kim Jong-un at the aquarium.
Does my vagina stink? No.
What do you think she looks
What a
like?
question
She
to ask.
sounds around my height,
I shower regularly.
under 6 foot, of course, and she sounds like she has like, I don't know, dark features.
Once, sometimes twice a day.
Based on what he said, what do you think he looks like?
I would say he's like tall and has like brown hair. He probably wears like fucking like Hey Dudes. Like I would put that on him.
How long have you been single?
I've been single since September, I guess. I met some
Long enough to go on an internet dating show.
guy when
mean-
I first got down here and we dated
They're
What?
just like, I mean, they just apply to this shit for clout, you know?
No, of course.
for a week. After that week, we broke up. I don't know. I guess you could say he thought I was crazy. But I just don't think he knew me well enough. And he asked me to be
I
his
love the
girlfriend at the
editing.
bar.
The editing's great. It's so subtle.
I was drunk and I woke up the next morning and like didn't even know if we were together or not because I was drunk. So
1 week is crazy.
I only knew him for a week beforehand. So you could say that's crazy on his part.
Nah, I could definitely say it's crazy on your part too.
Okay. I mean, yeah, he thought it was crazy.
They're
that's how you
supposed
broke
to be on a
up, so-
blind
Last
date, not
relationship
fucking
I had
insulting
was
each
back
other,
in
you
May.
know?
It
This
lasted
is awesome. This is so good. This is better than the button.
2 months. We broke up because she just stopped giving the same energy, and I ended things. And then since then, I've been single as a Pringle.
How long ago was
Oh,
that?
Do the
God.
math. May.
Oh, okay. You fuck. I didn't hear you. Cunt.
That's my favorite word.
What is
Oh my god, are
happening?
we soulmates or what?
No.
What the fuck is
So
going
what's
on?
one thing you want the other person to know about you?
One thing I want the other person to know about me is I don't smoke or drink. So that's like a big red flag for me. It's not an ultimatum, but I don't do it, so I don't expect a lot of it.
I drink. I like to go out. I like to have fun with my friends. I enjoy drinking.
If you were in a committed relationship, what would you consider cheating?
Probably having like your dick sucked by another girl. You know, I don't know, kissing.
That's
like,
a
Flirting's one
pretty
thing.
that's a pretty drastic jump there. So which is it? Third base or first? Like, come on. There's you just skip the second one?
But like as soon as like another bitch's tongue is down your fucking throat, like that's a problem. We have a problem.
I think if you're just like talking to a guy, even if it's your like boy best friend, you know?
So you just think they shouldn't have a boy best friend?
Yeah, because I should be your boy best friend.
I mean, I agree with that. I can't even like hate on that. So what's your opinion on like girl best friends? Like if a guy has
I
a
wouldn't
girl
have
best
one.
friend. You wouldn't have one?
No.
Okay. Do you have a
That's so
mom?
weird.
Yeah, I love my mom very much.
Mm,
Do
okay.
you have a mom?
He was
Do you have a
happy
dad? Do you have
about
daddy
that.
issues?
My dad is dead, but
That explains it.
If you were dating each other and you got into a big fight, how would you go about resolving it?
If we got in a big fight, what would I do about resolving the fight? I would tell you that to suck it up. I mean, you're not going to worry about it a week from then, unless it was like something insane like cheating or anything. And if that's the case, then you wouldn't be having to worry about it the next week.
if we got in a big fight, I would just be like, let's fuck it out because, you know, why are we fighting? when
This
we
chick's
can just be
great.
Fucking
You know, that's
quiet?
valid. I like your answer better.
What's a red flag you see in a guy?
A red flag I see in a guy is having
hear
like
like
a
the
lot of girl
the
best
lip smack?
friends, and his whole
Yeah.
I can't even
Snapchat
do it.
is just girls and they're blonde.
A big red flag for me is a lack of communication. I mean, if you can't text me, I'm not expecting you to text me every minute of every day, but I'd like to hear from you every now and then during the day.
That's valid. I like that.
What are 2 things you hate about your ex?
What are 2 things I hate
Weird
about my
question.
ex? Lack of communication. I don't really have a second one. That was just the biggest thing. It was just so much that I couldn't deal with it.
She just what didn't text you back or like
Yeah, I mean, there'd be times
was
where
a
she
bad
would go out with
texter.
her friends and I didn't mind that.
Yeah. I'm not so certain about this answer. Strange.
These people are both
And-
like the worst people, you know?
I kind of agree. That's why this is so entertaining. That's why the button's so entertaining as well. Everyone wants to buzz each other out just so they can stay on the screen for the longest time. It's hilarious. It's a shit fight.
I just wouldn't hear from her till like the next morning or maybe later the next day.
she was fucking somebody else.
Yeah.
She was fucking somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was busy. That's why she couldn't text you back.
Yeah, exactly.
2 things I hate about my ex.
That's such a-
Hate is such a strong word, you know, but probably that he had like all these girl best friends and, you know, he would dance with them at the bar and do stuff like that. Ooh, I don't know. I just feel like his goals in life weren't really there.
What kind of goals? Like his life goals?
That wasn't two.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Because I'm big that way too. I won't date a girl that doesn't have goals. I like to know what you plan to do within the next 5 or 10 years.
My whole thing that I always say is I want to be a CFO by the time I'm 30.
I dropped out of college
Oh.
last year.
We should
and
jump to
opening
their
up a surf
thoughts.
shop in the
No,
next year.
there's
Being
there's
as young as I
part
am,
where
I like
she starts talking about how she was lost at sea and like that's how she like it's crazy.
What?
I don't know when
to
that
go to
is.
have goals as well.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good. How are you doing with that?
It's going. It's a process.
Do you surf? Like that's
Yeah.
why. Okay. I've never surfed before in my life.
I'll teach you.
Can I wear that like surf suit?
You could wear nothing.
Oh, okay. I don't want to like get my titty bit off by a shark, but if that's, you
It
know.
won't be getting bit off by a shark. I'll tell you that.
Jesus. This is so
I love
weird.
Soul Surfer, but you wouldn't be my Soul Surfer. You'd be my soulmate.
Jesus
What?
Christ.
But I have an arm.
Even better.
When and how did you lose?
Here we
your-
go.
I lost my virginity in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on a floating raft. I was stuck at sea for 3 days, and the Coast Guard had to come save me.
Was this a cruise?
No, I just like
What?
me and my friends thought it would be funny to blow up an inflatable pool and flow in it, and then we floated off. So the only thing that we could do to keep warm at night was make love.
I can think of like 5 different things to keep warm at night.
Oh
Just not
my
thinking
God.
about it.
Like that's totally not a
How-
real answer, right? She's
That's-
totally
there's-
lying.
No way that's true. There's
Yeah.
no fucking way. Like there's no chance, 0% chance that that's a true story. Insane.
Were you?
I was 16.
Okay. I lost mine when I had just turned 16 to my like first actual relationship. We had broken up. We had lasted 4 months and we had broken up, and then a week later she gave me a booty call.
Wait, you broke up and then had sex after you broke up?
Yeah. She broke up with me and then a week later called me telling me to come over.
Why did she break up with you?
No clue.
Okay.
Broke up with me over text.
Oh wow, that's rough. That's actually
Communication,
really- I'm
baby.
sorry to hear that.
I wouldn't break up with you over text. I wouldn't break
hope
up with you at
not.
all.
Okay.
What is your body count?
What is my body count? 2.
My body count is I re-virginized myself and found Jesus. So I'm actually at -2 right now.
Negative.
currently.
What
Yeah.
What was it before you
is
got
this
This
girl?
is a
Read
Trisha
Jesus.
Paytas
What
ass
it was
is
just
answer.
happening?
bullshit?
5.
Yep.
Now I'm at -2 because God forgave me.
For 7?
No, for 5.
But that's not good math.
What math are you mathing?
You said -2.
Yeah, because God
she's-
forgave
yeah,
me.
because
for
of
the-
my
the
front hole and my
-2 that I
back
shouldn't
hole.
have
So does that
done.
mean the next 2 don't count?
No, it means I'm waiting for marriage because I found God and Jesus.
It means
got a
she
ring
has
right now,
two
Sean.
2 lives. It means she can regret 2 before it actually counts.
Yeah.
All right, get down on a knee. Let me see.
You get down on both knees.
I only get down on my knees to pray,
Yeah, same.
but maybe we can pray together.
Good. How about after that?
Why get off my knees?
Damn it.
You can only pray for so long.
What is
But you can fuck all
happening?
night.
This is awful.
What's the longest time that you fuck someone for?
Wow. I think record time for me was about 43 seconds. You know?
43 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think I got about 3 strokes in.
Holy shit. I'd
Mhm.
probably fall asleep before that was over.
Valid. How about you?
The longest time I've had sex for,
gonna say
like
something
actually, or
insane
we want to
number.
joke?
No.
Because yours was clearly a fucking joke. Probably like 7 minutes was the longest, I'd say.
What is the
What about
freakiest
all
thing you've
night
ever
in
done
the
in bed?
ocean
Freaky.
when you were 16?
Dude, that's hilarious. Tripped up on her own lies. Hilarious.
Thing I've ever done in the bedroom. One time I got a thumb up my ass. It was kind of unexpected. He kind of just like, spit on my ass and then stuck it in there. I can't say that I disliked it. It was something like, it was definitely uncalled for.
Freakiest thing I've ever done. My last girlfriend made me dress up in a Fortnite costume. And
That's
Run around the room.
hilarious.
Like doing Fortnite dances, or
yeah,
did you play with
I
her
loved it.
tilted towers?
Jesus Christ.
we actually got, yeah, we did get tilted. I actually got the victory royale that night.
Wow.
What do you think the other person looks like?
I heard you talking crap about blondes, so I'm going to assume that you're not blonde. You definitely have dark features. I would guess curly, wavy hair, and probably kind of short.
What the fuck is kind of short?
Like 5'3", 5'4".
I think he
I would
looks
say
like,
that's
like I
short.
said, it looks like he wears Hey Dudes. Now that I know that he's a surfer, he probably has like, I don't know, fucking curly blonde hair. I guess he's tall since he's saying that 5'3" and 5'4" is short, so I'd say he's tall. Because
He said around my height. He said he was 6 foot.
They like them bitches petite. I mean, I think he's kind of funny. Like,
This
he
is
seems
insane.
cool. He's not the worst person ever. It started out pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. But he's like, all right, bare minimum, cool.
My thoughts on her. I still like her sense of
love that
humor.
they just
It does sound like
jamming.
she does go out and party a lot, which is all right.
So could you see yourself going on a date with him?
Could I see myself going on a date with him? I don't know. He's kind of fucking annoying.
I'd have to make that decision myself. Looks
You're
are
both
good.
fucking annoying.
Like, I mean, you wouldn't go for somebody if they weren't if you weren't attracted to them.
I just like don't like men, and like I don't like if he's bringing me to the fucking aquarium. Like,
Jesus.
absolutely not. I can't with his aquarium bullshit. But like, I get it now that he's a surfer. Like, I guess I understand. I just don't really think I like surfers.
I like that she has a goal. CFO. I almost asked what a CFO was, but I didn't want to seem stupid.
I just feel like they
Smart
think so
decision.
fucking highly of themselves because they're like, I surf, bro. Like,
But she does agree with me with the
It's this,
communication.
honey.
That's cool.
surfers just always look like that penguin from Surf's Up. Like, that's just what they look like. Because I like people's personality. I think, like, if you can make me laugh, like, my eyes are closed while I'm laughing. So it's the big deal about what you look like.
I'm a gentleman. You could go first.
What's your favorite color?
I'm colorblind, so that's
Bullshit.
not the best question.
What
Bullshit.
color are your sheets at home?
Black, but late at night they turn white.
Why? Because you fucking jizz all over them?
Yeah, because you couldn't catch it all.
Jesus Christ.
Do you have any tattoos?
I don't
You do not.
know.
I have a lot. Do you like tattoos?
Yeah, I like tattoos. I just don't think I'd ever get one myself
Why not?
because I want
I'm
to work in
surprised.
the corporate world. And these days, if you have a tattoo,
You wouldn't even get one that you could hide?
like maybe I'd get like fucking one on my pussy lip. I don't know.
Can I
What the
convince you to get a
fuck?
W on
That's
each
such a
ass cheek?
random answer.
Wow.
No, I'd get mom and the O, you know.
I mean, it could be mom or wow, whichever way you're sitting on my face.
Wow.
Do you have any more questions for me?
Like, what hobbies do you have? I don't know.
Anything with a board, surfing, skating, snowboarding. I go
Rad,
to the
did you
gym
see her
every day.
face?
Yeah, that's pretty much my
She
whole
did
life.
not care.
Surfing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been doing that for about 10 years.
Wow.
Do you have any hobbies?
Not really. My hobbies are class
Really?
and I like shopping. Is that a hobby?
Yeah?
Okay, yeah. I enjoy
That's the red
shopping.
Are you high maintenance?
Absolutely, yes, 100%.
I mean, like, yeah, I'd probably say yes.
Yeah.
That I'm high maintenance.
So if we went shopping, you'd run my whole card?
Oh, you're paying?
I mean, I'll always pay for the first date.
Oh, so the first date's not the aquarium, it's the mall.
I mean, we could go to both.
You have money like that?
I'll sugar daddy you. Yeah.
Wow, I love that. I've been looking for one.
there you
of
go.
those.
Her thoughts and
She was
opinions completely
struggling to
changed.
figure out things to ask me,
I
You've
don't
got
find
money?
him funny.
Ooh.
I don't find him interesting. I don't like surfing.
which is kind of
He
bad
doesn't
because
have
we
money.
haven't even met each other and we can't
He
even
was
keep
lying.
a conversation.
The kid's
She
a
still
bum.
has a good sense of humor, and I like that.
He seems so bland. Could I imagine myself on a second date with this man? No, because he'd probably just talk about surfing the whole time and I'd probably want to kill myself.
Yeah, I mean, we could go on a second one, probably have a few good laughs. I don't know if anything would happen after that.
How big is his cock? Not massive. It's giving little cock energy. He's just so bland. I just couldn't see him, you know, fucking
She's an
good,
asshole.
having a
She's
big
right.
dick, you know. No, like chase your goals, like that's cool. But like, how many fucking surf shops are down here in Myrtle Beach? What's different about his surf shop? Like, is it like Hollister and the guys stand outside with their shirts off? Because I'd attend. But like, besides that, like, I don't know. If he needs someone to do his finances, he can call me. I'm looking for an internship, so.
3, 2,
The fuck is her fit
1.
though?
Take your black.
I don't know.
Wow, I can't see shit.
He doesn't like her.
No.
Hi, I'm Jordan.
Sam,
Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you.
Awesome. Where are you from?
Jersey,
Jersey.
where are you from?
Red flag.
You could tell. Okay.
No, just red flag.
Maybe we should have talked about that earlier then.
But I like surprises. I'm from here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That
Mhm.
adds up with the surf shop and
Mhm.
everything. I see the tattoos.
Yeah, I got a lot. I got some going down my leg too.
Okay.
I
won't
hate
like
the
a ton.
sporadic.
The hey
editing
dudes,
thing.
he is
Yeah,
wearing them.
when you said that, I literally looked at my feet. I was like, oh my god.
Mhm. My mom has those.
Is your mom
So
hot?
funny.
I like hot moms.
I mean, she's cool.
How old are you?
20. How old are you?
19.
Oh, you're young.
Yeah, I'm cougar bait.
Okay.
Jesus, oh my god.
Christ.
Oh my
She
god.
needs to leave.
Okay. You're not what I expected you to look like at all. I thought.
Yeah, I figured that once you said the blonde, long hair.
It was, you know.
You actually picked out the stereotypical surfer.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I gave a description of the.
Neither
penguin
of
from
them are
Surfside.
impressed.
I think I was kind of spot on.
I mean, yeah, that's just because I said I don't really like the blondes, but.
I also kind of guessed curly hair. That's
Yeah,
kinda-
that was honestly because I did curl my hair today. Yes, that was pretty good. Good job.
This is
Took me 20 minutes to
painful
do
now.
Oh, 20. You like
Yeah.
blow dry it, or
Yeah.
it's like you got the mullet rocking right now.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. Yours is nice.
Yeah, yours aren't.
They are.
Is there something wrong with my ear piercings?
No.
I used to have this one pierced.
Do you have your nipples pierced?
Come find out.
Yeah, second date. Are you guys going?
No. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
No.
Thank you. Yes. No.
She was waiting to hear it.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
we can work on that. I
Yeah.
would come to the surf shop.
100%.
Buy
No,
a
she
t-shirt.
won't.
I'll come to your CFO.
She's
office.
waiting for this to end.
None of them were impressed. That was very entertaining. Okay.
We
now.
could make so much money if we just did this instead.
I would do it. I do kind of want to do.
All right, guys. So we have.
Oh,
the
you ready
gaming-
for this, bro? You ready
Yeah.
for this?
I do kind of.
Election's rigged.
Do a like a podcast or something, just talking about gaming and shit. That would be kind of fun. Just like a talk shit, not really serious one, like a casual kind of thing. I think that would be pretty interesting. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, elections are rigged. CNN is rigging them. Interesting.
have CNN debate upcoming shortly, and there's a bunch of aspects of this that are really sketchy that I wanted to share with you. So here's what they say in CNN: Trump, Haley, and DeSantis qualify for CNN Iowa debate. Now, by the way, they mentioned Trump. Trump's not coming. In fact, Trump is putting a giant middle finger up to this debate by doing a Fox News town hall in the exact same time slot opposite this debate.
That's
Okay.
funny.
So this whole like putting Trump in, it's just wishful thinking. They want him to be there. He's not going to be there. Pathetic. Anyway, let me read you some of this. Former President Donald Trump, former South
Kyle,
Carolina Governor Nikki
You turn
Haley,
into
and
a
Florida
Trump supporter? What the fuck is going on? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I just got it for a second. What?
Did Kyle Kalinske turn into a Trump supporter or something? What the fuck is going on?
Oh, I know, right?
Governor Ron DeSantis qualified for CNN's January 10th Republican presidential primary debate in Iowa, the network announced Tuesday. The debate is a final opportunity for a candidate to make an impression in front of a national audience before voting begins.
This is the grift
That's
now.
right, man. Voting's going to
Mhm.
begin really, really soon. This is crazy. Haley and DeSantis have said they will participate in the debate, which will take place at 9 p.m. Eastern Time and on January 10th at Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa. Trump, who skipped the first 4 2024 GOP primary debates, has not. Just 5 days before the Iowa caucus kicks off the GOP's nominating race, will be a one-on-one clash between the two candidates vying to emerge as the party's lone clear
It's gonna be
alternative
such
to
a
the former
shit fight.
president. DeSantis' path to the GOP nomination likely depends on a strong showing in Iowa's January 15th caucuses. Haley, meanwhile, has climbed in the polls in New Hampshire, where a strong performance in the January 23rd primary there could also prove as a springboard ahead of her home state's February 24th primary. Haley and DeSantis will also appear on CNN for back-to-back town halls on Thursday. On the campaign trail in recent days, DeSantis... Okay, let me just pause real quick. 1 second here. So the CNN is giving Haley and DeSantis back-to-back town halls, and they're also
Okay.
having a debate with them.
Okay.
Is there anything for Marianne Williamson and Dean Phillips and Cenk Uygur? Anything? Anything at all? No? No. Okay. I didn't think any. I didn't think so.
This is why they're
On
rigging the
campaign trail in
election
recent days, DeSantis
because
has
they're not
removed
giving
right?
them
Isn't this great?
because they're not giving
They're all
them
doing this. They're all doing this right
a
now.
town hall. Are you fucking retarded? Are you stupid? Are you dumb? Are you thick in the head? You troglodyte? You fuck?
This is what they're all doing. For this entire
Jesus Christ.
news grifter, lefty woke, like anti-establishment left news. You know,
You are garbage, okay?
we don't shill for the establishment.
That's actually appalling.
I'm fucking better than you.
repeatedly
Oh, just
criticized
wait,
Trump
she's
for
doing
refusing
it
to
too.
participate in GOP primary debates. Quote, he has
I
not been
know.
willing to come here and answer questions, DeSantis told reporters last week
It applies to
in
her
Elsinore,
too.
Iowa. He parachutes in for 30, 45-minute hour speeches and then just leaves rather than listening to Iowans, answering questions, and doing, I think, what it takes to win. CNN's Iowa debate will be moderated by Jake Tapper and Dana Bash. Okay, here we go. This is where it gets sketchy. To qualify for
Mhm.
participation in the Iowa debate, candidates must receive at least 10% in 3 separate national and/or Iowa polls
Okay.
of Republican caucus goers or primary voters that meet CNN's standards for reporting, according to the network. All right, hold on. They never have a threshold this high, ever.
Bullshit.
Usually it's like, it varies. You got to get at least 1% or 2% or 3%. Maybe on rare occasions they say 5%, but at least 10%.
They're trying to whittle down the fucking candidates.
Yeah,
What the
there's
fuck are you
literally
talking
joke
about?
candidates that they don't want in there. Like Chris Christie knows he's not going to win.
Yeah, obviously. Vivek Ramaswamy, they don't want in there because he's obviously not serious. Who's the other guy?
Ron DeSantis. Oh, Asa Hutchinson's. They
Yeah,
didn't
like
even invite
all
him
of
to the
them.
last debate, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think he made it. Because was there 4 or 5 in the last one?
4. It was Chris Christie
It
and
was just
Nikki
Christie
Haley
and
versus
Vivek.
Vivek and DeSantis.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so they're just trying to whittle it down to the obvious last 2
Mhm.
candidates. Like, this is just obvious. Like,
Yeah, it's the
anybody
vice
with
president
half a
debate.
brain. Yeah, like anybody with half a brain and any common sense would be able to see that this is bullshit. That this what we're watching right now is full of shit.
And it has to be only handpicked CNN. Like, we're okay with this one. One of the 3 polls must be an approved CNN poll of likely Iowa Republican caucus goers. The qualifying window for polls to count toward the Iowa debate closed at noon on Tuesday. So look at all these. Look at all the ways they try to like change it, right? Oh, no. I'm sorry. Did you come out with a poll where you hit it after the fact? Well, I'm sorry, but it closed at noon on Tuesday. The number of polls that we accepted. Why? Why would it close? What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. They always go up. This is how this kind of structure works. You have the most, then you have less, then you have less, then you have 2. It's very simple. But I guess they just can't use their brains properly. A bit broken, a bit slow.
Or he's deliberately misleading people to get his fucking views.
Yeah.
So over 10%, which is a threshold that's far above and beyond any other time these things are done. So I don't agree with that. CNN gets to choose, oh, no, we're okay with those ones. We're not okay with that one. And they arbitrarily put a limit where it's like, anything after this, no, we don't take it. Wow. Talk about putting your thumb on the scale. 3 current candidates have appeared on stage in some previous debates. Vivek Ramaswamy, Chris Christie, and Asa Hutchinson did not meet those the qualification requirements.
Well, here's the thing. You know what?
CNN
didn't want to invite Vivek, and they had to figure out some way that would disqualify him, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it rigged? Sure, but come on, Kyle. Like, Vivek is not actually running for president.
No, he seems to be very sure of himself, but he's not running. There's no chance anybody is going to vote for him. Not even Republicans. There's no way. He might have fooled the libertarians because they're fucking dumb, but
he's ahead of Nikki.
Is he?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how.
January 21st in New Hampshire at New England College ahead of the state's primary. The location was originally announced as St. Anselm College. Okay. So Vivek came out and said some stuff about this. Now, most of the stuff he says is typical Vivek bloviating and stupidity. But these 2 parts I found interesting. On December 14th, CNN threatened my campaign on the phone with a cease and desist and had YouTube black out the town hall after it got 200,000 views on YouTube in a matter of hours. Yet Nikki Haley's CNN town hall was still up after 6 months and had 68,000 total views.
Okay.
Later on December 14th, CNN notified my campaign that multiple qualifying polls, which the RNC used for each of the RNC debates, mysteriously wouldn't count for CNN's fake debate in Iowa on January 10th. Wow. Okay. So let me break this down for you. What he's saying is,
I got
hey,
it,
I
Kyle.
did a CNN town hall, and I posted it on YouTube, and they told me you need to take it down, or we're gonna hit you with, we're gonna copyright it. We're
Oh, you mean Vivek posted CNN's content and they told him to take it down? Interesting. Couldn't imagine why they did that. It's almost like CNN has a paywall. You actual clown.
gonna hit a cease and desist. We're gonna do here, and so they forced him to take it down, but they kept Nikki Haley's up, even though it was doing worse. And then the polls that he brought to CNN say, "Look, I can participate. I reached even your absurd lines and benchmarks, which are way too aggressive. I even reached that." And they go, "Nope, we're not accepting these polls because we say so." So look, let me be clear. I am not a fan of any of these loathsome idiots. Okay, I
Okay.
despise Vivek Ramaswamy.
Sure sounds like it.
Not a big fan of Chris Christie. He's terrible on policy, even though he's right on like January 6th and Trump stealing the election and all that shit. Asa Hutchinson barely exists. I don't even think his family knows that he's running.
Good joke.
He has the personality of watching paint dry. I mean, I can say negative things about all these people, all of them. Okay, but having said that, it's very clear what CNN is doing here, right? They're saying, look,
It's so clear that you need to make an 8-minute video explaining what CNN's doing in very specific misleading ways. Yeah, great.
I mean,
Thanks.
it's obvious what they're doing.
Yeah.
We need an 8-minute video on it. Well,
It's just content for us.
I just love it when he's like, what about, they keep going, what about, what about Marie Williamson, you know?
Now they care.
Yeah,
We were covering her months ago. We gave all of them a fair shake.
There's like other people though.
Trump.
There's another
to
like,
be
he'll
Nikki
say it.
Haley.
Probably.
DeSantis, unfortunately, we can't deny because his poll numbers are too high. He's been in second.
Hating
virtually
the earrings.
entire
I
time
think
for
he
this-
needs to just
for
stretch
this
his
race.
ears,
He's been
and then
the
he'll look
default
cool.
fallback option for Republican primary voters.
Because like
It's
stretched
too- like,
ears and
we
platinum
can't
hair is
even
totally
craft
fine.
rules and regulations where we exclude him because it's just not possible. Anything we do to exclude him would also exclude Nikki Haley.
Just a little one.
So they want Haley. They can't get rid of DeSantis. They can't get Trump because Trump's just refusing to do it.
They want DeSantis
so
too.
they've narrowed it down for you to 2 people. And this is how the game is played.
So
right?
he's implying
like I
that the
said-
establishment picked Haley.
Yes, I believe that's what he's saying. That it's the establishment pushing Nikki Haley.
And they actually
pushing
just
out
want
Vivek.
Haley. They just don't want. He's saying they couldn't get rid of DeSantis, but they don't want
Yes.
him either. It's like no, they want Haley and DeSantis on that stage without Vivek interrupting the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they want. And tell you what, it might actually. It
Maybe
will be
if
a
he
shit
behaved
fight.
himself, he would be
Yeah.
invited to more birthday parties.
Like it will be a shit fight, but it will be a lot more civil than it has been without Vivek there antagonizing everybody, making it a disaster like if Trump would have been there.
Well, I think that was
They
the
don't
whole
have a-
point of sending Vivek to those debates.
Yeah, of course it was. He was the disruptor, the distraction.
Debate plan for Dean Phillips and Marianne Williamson. And
There you go,
Jen
Dean
Hoover.
Phillips.
They don't
No
have a
idea
debate
who he is.
plan for them. They're not going to do a debate with them.
Uh-huh.
I'm not even sure they're going to report on the fact that 4 different states have now come out and said, we're not having a Democratic primary. We are
Oh, no.
unilaterally declaring that Biden wins.
That's
It was
funny.
Tennessee, North Carolina,
can do
Florida,
that.
and Massachusetts, I believe.
Uh-huh.
Nope, we're against a Democratic primary. We're just going to do an authoritarian takeover, axe the entire election, and just declare Biden wins. I'm not even sure they're going to cover that.
Is
Well-
it actually something that they can do?
Yeah, every state has. So each state is allowed to write its own election laws,
Oh, okay.
right? So there is like certain states where, for example, they'll sign something. So I don't know what states do it, but a large amount of them, they will. The electors will always elect what the people like in the majority
Yeah.
do. So because of how the electors work, the electors that are in like that tech, this is where America like loses like democracy points, you know, because we
Yeah.
don't put those electors in. So those electors and a lot of times can decide those things. But also like the thing is do these candidates meet the requirements to be on the ballots in those states? Those states actually can the states actually have a right to just say no to your ballot application, for example. Did that happen?
Interesting. So the
You know?
Supreme Court appeal might just be nothing. It might the Supreme Court might be just like fuck you.
The thing
and-
is that Trump put himself on the ballot a long time ago.
Mm.
So I think that it's because like there's all these like cutoff dates that come. Like Cenk was
Right.
nowhere near like inside the
missed
like
it by a mile.
registration date. Yeah.
Mhm.
So like he's not gonna like he can't like actually. And plus he there's he wants to try to interpret the Constitution his own way, but
He's just selling his Nazi book.
I know
That's all he's doing it for.
they're all
So
just
this is how
selling
the game is
books.
played.
Yeah,
They could take down Trump if they had the ability. They would do it. They can't, right?
they're doing
But
it. You
they
clown.
narrow it down for you. Now, I don't think Vivek Ramaswamy would win Iowa or would win New Hampshire. I don't think Asa Hutchinson or Chris Christie. Chris Christie's actually
Vivek could
not
win New
doing
Hampshire.
horrible.
New Hampshire is a wild card.
Yeah, he definitely could.
It's a wild card state, bro.
It's got a lot of libertarians there, so it wouldn't surprise me.
It's only 3 points though.
Mm.
I believe it's in New Hampshire. But like, yeah, I don't think there's that much of a effect at this late date, but it just shows you how they limit your choices, how the game is played,
Yeah.
how they try to narrow it. Hey, here's what's in the parameters of acceptable.
Welcome to my
Look,
world.
I'm at the point now. I told you guys this before. First of all, it should be a law that these people have to debate. Like Trump skipping it,
No.
he literally shouldn't be allowed to do that if he wants to be president. That's number one. Number two, you should absolutely have reasonable standards that are across the board.
I completely
I
and
can
100% disagree with him.
I could say something like this because states make their own election rules. A
Mhm.
state could mandate that you would have to participate in something. Like you needed
To be
to
on the
show
ballot.
yourself to the voters, you know?
Okay,
Like
sure. At a
other,
state
but
level,
a
sure.
federal thing, no. Like
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Because then you're just gonna get like he's just saying like I want it to have as many grifters and chaos agents as possible. I want that to be the law. Okay, Kyle.
that are correct standards. Like, hey, you got to hit 1% in the polls or 2% in the polls. Like nothing. You need 27,000 signatures and you have to hit 10% in
CNN
the
can make up
polls. And
their
it's
own
got to be these
standards.
particular ones that we handpick. No, fuck that. The ways
God,
in
what was
which
I about to
they
Google?
fuck with the democratic
Oh,
process, the way the
okay.
media does it, the way the DNC does it, the way the RNC does it, it's unacceptable. And people are on to the game that they're playing. They see through this
Uh-huh.
naked attempt to try to engineer outcomes. Right? They're not even good at the thing that they do. It's so naked and obvious and blatant what they're really
Mhm.
trying to do here. So I have no love for Vivek. I have no love for Asa Hutchinson or Chris Christie. But why the hell shouldn't they be on that stage? Right? Why shouldn't they be on the stage? Chris Christie in particular is doing pretty damn well
An
in New
awful
Hampshire.
take.
Vivek Ramaswamy is
Truly,
not doing as
truly
well
an
in New
awful
Hampshire or
take.
Iowa, but nationally he's got some half decent poll numbers. Why shouldn't they be on the stage? Why shouldn't they? Well, CNN decided we don't want them. We want it to be Nikki versus Trump. She's the only one
Yeah.
we really think has a chance. We can't ask
They did.
DeSantis because he's polling too well. So we're just going to
You
have
have
Nikki
picture in
versus
picture.
DeSantis
Yeah,
and play this weird kabuki theater game as if it really matters when Trump's leading.
Nobody
by
knows
1,000.
what that is.
I know it.
Oh, and we
No,
won't
I
say
know what
anything
it is,
about
but-
Biden stealing the election from Marianne Williamson and Dean Phillips and Cenk Uygur and refusing to even
pretty cool,
have
actually.
a Democratic vote as he sucks himself
Have you
off and acts
seen
like he's the
Sergeant
savior of
Kabuki Man,
democracy
NYPD?
against Donald Trump. Piss off, man.
No. I'm going to say no.
It's a trauma film.
Oh, is it?
hmm Hey, you want to see something crazy?
Go on.
The United States only has 83 out of 100 on the democracy index. Isn't that nuts?
I'm
Crazy.
not surprised.
Isn't that strange? Pretty low.
I'm going to assume that it lost some in the last few years.
Yeah, so it's like
Because I think I remember it
Strong
being
law, robust
86 or
freedoms.
something.
wide array of other civil. In recent years, democratic institutions have suffered erosion as reflected by rising political polarization and extremism, partisan pressure on the electoral process, bias and disinformation, criminal justice system, harmful policies on immigration and asylum seekers, growing disparities with wealth, economic opportunity, and political influence.
Makes sense.
That's a shit score, though. Like for a free country, 83 is, or is it 80? Yeah, 83 is fucking low.
70?
I'll check in a second. We'll click over to it.
Anyway, new video, Hassan crying about Johnny Harris. This will be fun.
Everybody gets horny as
The cutoff
for
is
Germany.
70 because
all of the sock thems on Twitter
India's
Mm.
66, and that's in a
Okay.
yellow.
Yeah. Okay. Playback speed.
Everybody gets horny as for Germany. All of the sock thems on Twitter literally nut when talking about how beautiful EU countries are. But when you turn around and talk about China, they're like, whoa, dude, chill. That's like the worst country you could point to, my man.
Isn't that what you do?
All right. The new global economy, Johnny C.I. Harris, number 19 on trending. The end of globalization. The global economy changing. Countries are.
Also, if he goes on one of his side tangents, I'm skipping it. If he talks for more than a minute without going back to the video, I'm going to scan and see how long he's talking and then skip it. Because nothing he says is relevant.
Realize that the world economic.
Because it will literally just end like the last video where I just start screaming at him to shut the fuck up.
Interdependence has brought significant piece of the world. It can also mean supplying the military rise of your biggest rivals. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is gonna be so fucking. You are Turk, man. I traveled there 12 years ago. Nice people, nice price, very good, nice people. You are unhinged, but that's what makes you badass. Thank you, man. I am unhinged badass, bro. Anne.
The US government is quietly reshaping the global economy in ways that will change our world forever. You can see this in just one sentence from Joe Biden's first address to Congress.
Think about it. There is simply no reason why the blades for wind turbines can't be built in Pittsburgh instead of Beijing. No reason. No reason.
Has he done that?
That was his big thing. Remember when we covered him talking underneath the bridge?
Mm.
They had already like
Oh, they already moved to do that. Interesting.
Yeah, they already were like building the mill to like produce that shit.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah.
This seems just like a boring political statement, but I promise this statement is a bigger deal than it seems, because it marks a new era in our global system, a system that all of us participate in, whether we know it or not. Or maybe it's a rerun of an economic system that the globe turned to right before the Second World War.
There's no reason why American workers can't lead the world in the production of electric vehicles and batteries. I mean, there is no reason. We have the capacity.
In this video, I want to peek under the hood of the endlessly complex and fascinating global economy to show you just how deeply connected we've all become and how those connections are being cut and weaponized. All of this thanks to new threats, new risks, new realizations.
I don't get it. Is this like a unequal exchange in global trade, which has been tremendously beneficial to the Western world, is actually bad because it ends up fucking developing our enemies? Is this literally one of those? Like, this can't be right. I mean, this is the most reactionary fucking this is the most reactionary video you can make. Like, this is like neocon shit. You know what I mean?
So I was like looking up like what ones. So Ghana has an 80 on the democracy index.
What the fuck? Okay.
So that's 3 points lower than the United States.
Ghana.
Yeah. I mean, Ghana's the shit. Panama, same score, but Panama is also like one of those like.
What's Costa Rica?
I would have Costa Rica is very high. I know that, but like
I'd imagine so.
Basically, Costa Rica is 91. It's way above the U.S.
Fucking hell.
Cyprus is 92, and they have a fucking occupation.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
This is Donald Trump. Like, this is beyond neocon shit. This is a deviation that Donald Trump had with the rest of the regular villains in American society. It's not even neocon. Yeah, it's just like, this is the reason why the fucking Steele guy left the Trump administration. What was his name? Is this Trump's NAFTA bad take? No, it's beyond that. No. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about China's. So it's surprising that Johnny Harris is taking
two great powers. This is the world that we are moving into. It's how things will work for decades to come, and it's important that we understand it. So let me give you an overview of what is becoming the new global economy.
The new tariffs from both sides went into effect earlier this morning.
The U.S. tariffs have kicked in. China can't put as many tariffs on us as we can.
Bro, the audio editing is all over the place here.
Yeah, it is.
They're balancing it in with the music. It was hard to hear what they were even saying.
Didn't they say, well, where are we? 537.
Bro, he's got like this like Did you
High
start it
quality
over?
edits with the best Hassan reaction.
Oh yeah.
High quality.
Oh no, that was Johnny Harris's
for a long
edit.
time,
Are you sure?
Yeah, because it was his
Because
intro that I
Hassan's
couldn't
very
hear.
quiet.
No, it was the way Johnny Harris's intro thing was edited into the music. I couldn't hear what they
Ah.
were saying. It sounded like
Right.
somebody was speaking in tongues to me.
Right. Okay, I'm on board.
I've been at war with marketers, people who call my phone even though I don't want them to, and who send me emails even though I never gave them my email address. We're all familiar with this. It's called spam, and it is a discount. I'm excited to share it with you.
You just
The economy
sat
that
through
we
the
live in, that we're all
entire
taking
ad.
Did you
granted,
see who that
is
was?
actually relatively new.
Who?
You see who
The
that is
economy
with
that
Bill?
we live in, that we all take for granted,
Too simple. Sometimes naive.
is actually relatively new. The clothes
I think overreact. I still showed the ad.
that you're wearing right now, the computer or the phone that you're looking at to watch this video, the materials that your house is made out of, the fibers in the blanket that you use at night, the food you eat, all of it is a product of perhaps
See,
one
he
of the
put
most
notes in
significant
there
achievements of
for
our
you, so you
species.
can skip through on the screen. He just showed some of the ad, right? So he put a red thing for you to scan for. So he'll put up things where it says Hassan is about to go on a rant, and then you can scan ahead to see when he stops. Sometimes
Okay,
with this
great.
guy.
That's handy. It was also after he played the ad.
Global trade.
He's not perfect.
Early on, humans discovered the magic that occurs when a group of people
Magic.
specialize in producing something valuable, like grain. They make more than they need, and then they take that
Oh my god,
Magic.
we're getting surpluses explained to us again,
Dude,
bro.
this
How
is
many
insane.
times do we need to fucking learn about what how surplus is like the start of economy?
Also, fucking supply chains have been around since what, the Bronze Age?
I mean that
Further?
even before that, because like the Mesopotamia civilization starts to come because it's like these supply routes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not exactly new. We don't need this fucking explained to us.
But by the time the Bronze Age happened, there was already a trade route going to the Indus Valley.
Okay.
So like so Mesopotamia, so like Egypt, where Egypt is in the Nile, Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley, there's a fourth one where it's like these are like the cradles of life, right? And those were connected by trade routes by the
Okay.
Bronze Age. Oh, it's the China. China has one too.
Yep.
On their river. I'm not sure how connected they were to these trade routes.
I don't imagine it was until the Silk Road.
But the fact in the Bronze Age that you were like the main export for the bronze is coming all the way from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
All the way to like the main region where the Levant is, you know.
But China's civilization doesn't rise until after the collapse, I think.
Yeah, they're kind of off
they were
doing their
getting it
own
around.
thing because they're so
Yeah.
far separated.
Yeah. Making gunpowder and shit.
give it to another group who also made too much of something because they specialize in a specific thing, maybe textiles. And through this exchange, both parties benefit way more than they could on their own. It was this kind of cooperation that leveled
The
our
Mongols are
species
pretty
up
early.
beyond any other animal on Earth. So we just kept
They're like
doing
just
it.
after Greece.
No, I'm not gonna watch Miko Peled, which, by the way, ironically, you said 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, which means that it already happened. Maybe later. 3:30 p.m. Eastern time happened already. Please stop asking me to watch Piers Morgan. I know Miko Peled is great. Okay, I know. I'm not gonna watch him right now.
In fact, the history of our human civilization
Could've
is
cut
largely
that.
the history of people trading on an ever-growing scale. Today, this is normal. We call it the economy. By the time the 1900s rolled around,
Oh, you know
more
why?
people
Hassan is
connected
also
with
watching
global
it
trade.
at faster speed. That's why Johnny Harris's intro was like so hard to hear.
All over the place. But it was still pretty clunky. Everyone had different trade rules, different currencies. Countries were worried that foreign products would threaten their domestic producers, so they put up trade barriers and
Australia.
imposed big tariffs on stuff coming into their country. Then 70 years ago came that war that almost tore this world apart. Out of the ashes of that war, the US emerged
Okay,
as the most powerful country ever.
So the Mesoamericans are the fifth one to emerge. But
Okay.
I know China's the first, and there's a debate over Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley, which was like starting to like settle. But the thing about Tenochtitlan is that
Did I drop out or did you drop out? Might be me. Maybe. This is not good. Am I the only one that he's dropped out for? Yep. Okay, great. I thought it was just me. Okay. Technical issues. He'll be back. We'll see what happens. Now he's black. Okay. He'll be back. Yeah, this is me. It's my stream now. Yeah, I have no idea what he was going to say. Something about cradle of civilization. Well, no, he's completely disconnected now. He'll be back soon. Yeah. He knows everything, not me. This might be him. 1 minute. Yeah, he said the internet went out. He'll explain more when he comes back. We'll keep going.
It had troops and influence in every corner of the globe.
Just magically that happened. That was cool when that Sanjay was on and said, yeah, I don't care, man. Please stop trying to get me to fucking watch Piers Morgan videos. I'm sick and tired of watching Piers Morgan videos, man. Oh my God.
With that new power, the US and its allies wrote a new playbook for the world.
He
They would make it
cannot
so that the
control
US dollar
himself.
was the top currency. Everything would kind of be pegged to the US dollar. This helped stabilize the whole system. It helped it move more predictably. It helped countries send and receive money across borders. The US also got countries together.
I still don't understand why Johnny Harris feels the need to explain the economy to everybody that watches his videos. It's very strange.
The taxes imposed on products flowing in and out of their country, tariffs. And through all these efforts, all these new rules, borders opened up. Investors could put their money almost anywhere on Earth to grow new businesses. Corporations could look to faraway lands for cheaper workers to set up their factories. The world became one big market, and it started to benefit hundreds of millions of people. So much so that even anti-capitalist China couldn't stay out of this global economy that was so unrecognizably open, that was so much more open than anything the world had ever seen. There was way too much money to be made. So China jumped in. They said that they would remain communist, but they would open up a few dozen of their coastal cities to be open for business in this new global market. Millions of China's rural poor.
Thanks.
Welcome back. Are you alive? Hello. I can't hear you. You're also freezing a lot. Talk? I think you froze again.
Sea snakes.
Flocked to the coastal cities.
Okay.
These gateways to the...
Are you just really lagging?
I don't know. Something. It just went out.
Don't know.
I just reset my internet. Sea snakes.
Yeah. Sea snakes.
Right? Sea snakes. Anyway, Tino was as big as Constantinople when the genocide of the Americas happened, is what I was saying.
Which one?
The Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan.
Yes.
It also had like technology that we nobody else had.
The global market. They showed up ready to work, and to work for cheap. A world away over in the United States, corporations looked at all of their factories in places like Detroit and Buffalo and realized that it would make a lot more sense for them to move all of these factories to China, where they could pay workers a fraction of the wage. And spoiler alert, all these coastal cities in China that opened up to the global economy soon looked like this. Hundreds of millions of people in China.
Dude, it's so sick that capitalists invented what we understand as trade. It was fire. I love capitalism.
Nobody
Inventor
said
of
that.
trade,
Okay.
inventor
No,
of
it was
commerce,
sea snakes.
inventor
It was
of-
invented by sea snakes. Okay, everyone knows this. It was invented by snakes. Okay, look.
Are you going to talk about the intercoastal waters?
Look, all right, you have to understand that it was all thanks to the sea snakes, right? So sea snakes can only live in fresh water. So how did they populate all these islands all the way to America? Well, it's because when it rains, the water that's fresh floats on top of the ocean for a limited amount of time, right? So the pathway of fresh water led to the formation of civilizations through these migrations. And the sea snakes can also show that fresh water was always present in these migrations, and that's why they were possible. So it's capitalism was invented by snakes. Yeah, so they still run it. It's the reptilians.
Just making things, fucking sick. Inventor of money, inventor of iPhone. Capitalism invented tall buildings, dipshit. Are you not learning anything from Johnny? I mean, this is a pretty basic video. This is like the most basic most reductive ass way of a
Capitalism did invent tall building. Got to park that wealth somewhere.
approaching the subject matter. Everybody loved trading after World War II, and America simply was the major beneficiary, or the guy that was, dishing out these partnerships, and everyone was doing it on the dollar. Also, they just happened to have a bunch of military bases everywhere, and they created security partnerships as well. Also, the USSR did not exist at the time. Famously, it did not. It was not a thing.
They didn't.
We don't need to talk
after
about the
World
USSR.
War II. They didn't.
China.
The USSR didn't exist for a little bit, and then it came back for after.
Yeah.
It had a recovery phase there.
Mm-hmm.
It did not exist.
Just like everybody else post World War II.
Yeah.
Funnily enough.
He's like, bro, like that's the thing. It's like you have to understand, like Marx was before the Great Depression.
Yeah.
Like before steel, like it was when steel was just kind of like coming around. But like before those like breakups of the steel industries and the drive for the railroads and shit.
Yeah. Before all of that.
What would Marx base monopoly be off of if he made the squares?
If Marx made Monopoly.
Yeah, if he made the squares, what would he be labeling them?
I would be labeling them probably the companies, right?
Would he put utilities on there? Who owns the utilities? It'll teach you about government not providing utilities is painful. It's the lesson in Monopoly is to it's like a socialist game to teach you that capitalism is awful.
My favorite video is the kid crying about taxes after a game of Monopoly. It's my favorite video.
Somebody showed me this video today that was mad funny. And it's a dude at a range, and he's just every shot he misses and is shooting the ceiling, and the range guy comes over and he goes, "What the hell are you doing?" I don't think guns are like allowed on YouTube, so I'm not gonna show it, but
they are.
I don't know. I don't want to risk it.
Doing all of these things that it was doing was to also position itself against the USSR, and But then China was like, damn, we love money, dog. Fuck, that shit seems dope. Can you give us capitalism? Like, don't worry, we'll still be socialist, but also we'll do a little bit of capitalism, which is when you develop, when you make factories.
What is he talking about?
Develop commodities.
He's talking about China.
Yeah,
because they love capitalism, but still call themselves communists.
Yep.
Even though
too simple. Sometimes naive.
Hi, everybody. Actual Nazi here.
That's called capitalism. So then they did that. It's kind of funny because it's like the China part of this conversation is not dissimilar to how my haters approach the subject matter. And those guys are
your haters.
They're not Johnny motherfucking Harris. You know what I mean? Which is like capitalism. You claim to be an anti-capitalist, yet you're making t-shirts. Oh, fucking got him. Imagine selling t-shirts while hating capitalism. Oh my God.
No.
And it's like, dude,
no, that's not what they say.
The entire point of that is to make sure that the workers that are making the fucking
it's the Porsche, my dude,
are getting an honest pay, having more autonomy.
Over their own you don't do anything.
And in their workplaces. Like, nobody said that's not allowed, Yeah, this also totally acts like U.S. commerce was just what lifted everyone in China out of poverty, and not the government's control and distribution of capital gains coming into the country.
It's like, bro, socialism is when other people do it. I just have to support the policy. I don't have to live what I actually believe in.
Yeah, he can live in his $1 million mansion in Beverly Hills.
You know what this is? You know what this is? It's the exact same thing as a televangelist, right?
It's what?
The exact same thing as televangelists. Those rich televangelists and shit.
Yeah, they're my favorite ones. The gotcha reporters that get them, like the TMZ guys.
Have you ever seen Bill Maher's Religulous documentary that came out at the peak of cringe atheism?
I have not.
He's interviewing a guy. I think it's Creflo Dollar, but I'm not sure. But he has gator shoes, and he goes, and Bill Maher goes, and he's like, "What's that snakeskin?" He's like, "Gator." And he's like, "How much do those run?" And he goes, "They don't run, they crawl." Bro, and he's going, "Jesus wore fine linen."
Okay, and private jets and limos and shit.
Yeah. Well, you can't be, the demons are on the regular airplanes.
Of course.
Didn't you hear that from what's his name? The
guy with the wide mouth.
The ha 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 ha.
Yeah, Kenneth Copeland is his name.
Yes. Bro, yes, he said that there's demons on
Work.
regular airplanes, and that's why he needs his prayer plane.
Yep. I do remember that. That's
And
where
then
he
he
was
goes, "Hey, don't
standing
you
on his
accuse
car,
me,"
right?
you know, and then he points
He was
at the
standing on
lady.
his car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that interview many times. It's great.
Up and left.
China jumped in. They said that they would remain communist, but they would open up a few dozen of their coastal cities to be open for business in this new global market.
Yep.
Millions of China's rural poor flocked to the coastal cities, these gateways to the global market. They showed up ready to work and to
At
work.
least he's not saying that like China did this at gunpoint. You know what I mean? Which is, I feel like, what I'm expecting usually from people that, you know, cover this kind of thing.
For cheap. A world away over in the United States, corporations looked at all of their factories in places like Detroit and Buffalo and realized that it would make a lot more.
My prediction is that because China was only mentioned for a little bit, it's either going to be a massive part of the second half or it's not going to be mentioned at all. And this is going to be about Europe.
I think this is just going to be about how the United States runs the trade routes with China, and China
possibly.
doesn't contribute with the patrolling of the trade routes, which is just funny to me.
More sense for them to move all of these factories to China, where they
These
could
are
pay
cool
workers
maps,
a fraction
though.
of the wage.
Yeah.
And spoiler
You
alert,
know?
all these
He's
coastal
the map guy.
I know, these are great ones today.
In China,
I
that
liked
opened
my
up to the
snake
global
map.
economy soon
I'd like
looked
to see Johnny
this.
Harris do a
Hundreds of
snake
millions of
map.
people in China lifted out of poverty and
You
thrust
make
into
Johnny
this
Harris
new middle
proud.
and upper class, all thanks to the magic of the global economy, based on the rules and policies that the U.S. had set up after World War II. It was so good for China and a bunch of other countries, but for the many Americans whose jobs had just
Do
been
you
given
think
to
he
someone
draws
in like
them?
Shanghai.
Because
this
like I
didn't
know
feel
where he
like
gets
magic.
the
It felt
data
like
for this,
betrayal,
but this
like
is definitely like a custom graphic. It's not like just something that you like.
Oh, he'd have a program for sure.
I think he probably pays somebody to do it though, right?
Possibly.
Because I know what that, like I've seen that shit before, just like not
Mm.
laid out like that. And it's
recipe
only
for
for like
poverty.
a pan shot, you know?
Custom maps are pretty cool. That'd be a cool thing to have. Showing exactly what you want instead of having to Google search for them. That'd be
Mhm.
great.
Well, I
You'd
mean,
love
there's
that.
Google Earth.
Yeah, true.
and ghost towns. This China shock was one of the first big tastes of the economic pain that this global economy could inflict on huge numbers of people. But to everyone else, it was totally
Silly.
worth it because
That's
thanks to this
silly.
system, people were suddenly seeing prices at their stores
That's
drop
silly.
further.
Because there was a global economy. The reason why they built the railroads through all those people's lands and killed even more of them after it was like after the smallpox epidemic, when these people
Yeah.
could have rebuilt their culture. Instead, they were destroyed because railroads needed to be laid down to connect global trade. The United States built a navy to protect global trade. It's one of the first things that it does. It might have been like a small developing country back then, but with the amount of capital that was dumped into it, look what happened. The amount of human
The only country that has participated in global trade after, I don't know, withstanding colonial powers, eviscerating it, getting fucking genocided during World War II. It's not the only country that got in on the whole, like, no, we can manufacture stuff for you shtick. It's just like they, however, did have one thing that's just different than everybody else.
The amount
and
of
that
cuts
was,
here.
I don't know, it was a temerity, was it grit, or maybe it was higher degrees of socialization and a long-term sustainable plan to develop the nation state.
Bro, they had a
Essentially,
higher
they were essentially-
population.
Yeah. The China
It's not
saw a
fucking-
massive number.
Bro, he's about
And
to
saw
fucking
money.
do quadratic equations here to
Mhm.
fucking explain China's like
To cope.
trajectory. Bro, they had a high population.
It was massive human capital and they decided to wield it on the global market. That's all it was.
Yes.
The Chinese population was used by the CCP to make them money, not China, which is why there is mass starvation and poverty in China, and which is why there are so many beggars, which is why there's so much
But
scummy
it was
practice.
improving.
It was improving, but this
So-
is right now.
Even if it did have a shitty government, things were improving. You
Mhm.
know?
Not anymore.
But like you look at the look at the era of OPEC.
Yeah.
And like that time was so crazy. The amount of inter-country wars and shit that happened during those times, the amount of assassinations and like political transfers, it's almost like the fucking banana wars, those like the real oil wars that they still think go on today.
Yeah.
planned economy. Because when you look at China and you look at every other country, it's like they had similar
A
circumstances.
planned
No
economy
country
is when
obviously the
government
same
do
as far as when it
economy.
comes to natural resources, when it comes to fucking
When government
their-
owns the
the
business.
death and destruction that they withstood during times of conflict or colonial violence they were subjected to. And yet China had all of that shit. They did, but then they still were able to develop in a way that became a fucking behemoth in comparison to many of these other countries
That's
that
what
did
happened.
not get that same level of treatment. One of the major reasons is because, for one reason or another, China did not get coup d'etat or did not get destroyed when
Yeah, it's called political purges and murder. That's why.
Yeah.
Classic communist shit.
they wanted to
Also,
make
like the
decisions
thing is,
with,
like with the coups I was just talking about, with like with these countries and stuff. Like for example, Afghanistan. Afghanistan became socialist because the guy's like cousin took the throne when he was like, it's a bloodless coup, just like Gaddafi took the throne randomly.
Yep.
Like a lot of the times, that's what happened. Is like they didn't call fives when they got up. And like it was that was all like intertribal politics it's a completely different form of politics,
Yeah.
right? So like the Americas is all post-colonial politics, right? So that's why America was able to do so much with the coups there.
Yeah.
But like when it gets to like the Middle East and Africa, like it's more of a advanced the statecraft that they have to do to influence to overthrow people.
respect to loans that were being used towards improving their productive forces. That is the truth. Okay. There are differences with respect to what has happened in China when it was improving its and developing its productive forces versus other countries. One school of thought is that it is it was allowed.
I mean, look at
partially
Japan,
because it
Imperial
was seen
Japan,
as, like,
right? Is China any different?
No.
You know, like that. It's still like the Hindu Kush. You know, it separates an entire different way of life of like, and these were different tribes that were like clans, and you have like the shogunist and then the warlord era of China. You know.
Yes. Yep.
Like all those politics still influenced how the parties developed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it won't. It's really unfortunate, but big change won't come unless the CCP is put down in a war. I don't think similar to Imperial Japan.
Well,
It's
that's
that kind of ferocity.
That's the same thing with certain things like Jordan. The fucking monarchy's not going anywhere. But the last king Abdullah, you know, he said shit like, because the Palestinians wouldn't listen, they get what they deserve, right? And like when his son came in, like one of the first things he did was like put out a lot of political pardons, and like that's how Abdullah Azzam, I think, no, not Abdullah Azzam, Zarqawi was imprisoned by the first Abdullah because he had like grenades.
Okay.
And like and then
And he
got
released him.
pardoned and he went to Afghanistan when his son came in, right?
Great.
And like the King of Jordan is like not that controversial. It's not a free country. It's not like, you know, but at least it's like not fucking with people.
Yeah.
Like it's just like just minding its own business, you know. And Egypt is pretty much the same way. Like it's like little things like interpolitical stuff over like exclusive economic zones and that type of bullshit, you know.
Yeah.
A partner at which times America could cooperate with against the
Point is,
USSR.
you just need to have a good dictator. As long as you have a good dictator, your country will improve.
That might have played a role in it, but overall, I think that the reason for why China developed in a way that India did not, obviously there's a bunch
The
of
Hindu
reasons, but
Kush.
one reason is because of
dude needs to take an anthropology class for real.
It really would help him out.
Bro, come on. Like you know how like Buddhism reached China, right? You know where it went through?
I'm going to assume Nepal.
Afghanistan.
Really?
Yeah, it's the Wakhan corridor. That's how Buddhism reached the other side of the Hindu
Interesting.
Kush.
Through the Silk Road.
Well, no, the Wakhan corridor in Afghanistan. That little Chinese.
Is that the little finger?
Yeah, but like Mullah Omar blew up some of the oldest Buddhists in the world. Right, and that's in that's where the Hazara are, who are like the Asiatic people, right? So they're like these people are closer to what Chinese would be like back then, you know?
Okay.
Like there is obviously it's been like centuries, you know, so they're like
Yeah.
not related whatsoever, but you know, and then like the other like Asiatic tribe is more like the same similar like descendants from like the Uzbeks and stuff.
Okay.
And then like the Pashtun themselves claim that they're Scythians and descendants of Scythians.
Interesting. How likely is that?
Well, they state the Pashtunwali is a Scythian code, so culturally they're carrying on like a Scythian warriors code.
Interesting. So it's likely.
But it's like every time China was conquered, like you know, like the Genghis Khan like population like remained behind and like integrated. Like these tribes came from outside Afghanistan. We don't know who built like the city of Kabul. We just know it's like one of the oldest cities because it's mentioned in some of the oldest writing we have in Sanskrit. So we have no idea who used to be in Afghanistan.
Crazy.
Centralized planning and even development strategies that were implemented over and over and over again, and very successfully so. During the 90s, neoliberal dominance in South America, we got massive foreign investments and even saw GDP growth, but hunger and poverty were still the same as the 30s, basically. The people who think that China just adopted capitalism, just became this behemoth of production, just shows that they've never studied the history of the USSR. Lenin's NEP was not into what China is doing. Improve on that aspect much before their transition. I mean, who knows? We'll see.
Than seemed possible. Washing machines, shoes, tools, toasters, couches, shirts, socks, toys, mattresses, lawn chairs, anything you can think of is now flowing from Chinese factories and available for dirt cheap at your local Walmart, all while transforming the lives of people in places like Vietnam, India, Chile, and Thailand, who saw huge economic growth during these years. So by the 80s, China's fully in the global economy, and it is a...
Like, there is no... Okay, what the fuck? There you go. Okay. Vietnam, Chile? It's like, why didn't any of these other countries get the same level of development? And also, Vietnam versus Chile is actually an interesting one, too, when you compare it.
Coast space, Hassan.
Yeah.
Chile has that entire coast. India has a lot of coastline. Vietnam has a lot of coastline. Thailand has a lot of coastline. Okay. Now that that's been established.
It's just like, Vietnam has done fairly well, all things considered. But that's why it's good to compare it to a place like Chile, where it was and where it is now. Stagnation versus continued development and genuine prosperity. It's good. It's good to make these comparisons.
What does that mean?
And it always feels
What's wrong with Vietnam?
It always feels like...
what is genuine prosperity? What does that even mean?
Vietnam's got like a, insanely stable government too,
Yeah, Vietnam's great.
Not
Like
free,
most
but,
people have stopped going to Bali and now are going to Vietnam. So
it is because
Bali still has a lot of artisans though, right?
Yeah.
So like those people are not replaceable. It takes a while to, it's like Italy. The reason why they have such a migrant issue is because a lot of Italy has like these specialty jobs where it's like family passed down. So like
same with Japan.
Their unemployment is just like a fucking mess that they can't even like take migrants in, and that's why like fascists get in power, because these people who hand down jobs like craftsmen, like the old times, are the ones that are like the rural and racist ones.
Yeah. But Japan is the same way. A lot of their swordsmiths are dying out and they don't have people to replace them.
Also, Japan is like the same government as China at the end of the day. They all like rotate positions and like, like it's the same fuckers up there the whole time. They don't change.
And that's why the country itself doesn't change and why it's so backwards in like this 60s level of capitalism. But yeah, maybe one day someone will fix that.
Vietnam is doing better than Cuba. Well, Cuba is
true.
Cuba's also in an economic crisis right now, and Vietnam has more trade opportunities. They're not like exiled by the world, even though
I'm sure if America dropped the sanctions, it'd fix it.
Yeah, like there's no point. Why is Vietnam exiled, right? Because they refuse to interfere with like partisan politics on the global stage and Cuba does interfere? Is that the only reason? It's like, it's not like it's like has more freedoms.
True.
To implement initiatives that we fucking fawn over when white countries do it. And I'm sick and tired of acting like that's not the fucking case. Okay? That's why it's like Bernie bros love Norway and fucking Sweden or whatever, but like they can't comprehend it when it's a fucking Asian country doing the same shit.
Whoa. Nobody.
The same shit? What are you talking about? I guarantee if you polled the people of China in a way that would make them confident to answer honestly, without fear of repercussion from the state, all of them would be unhappy. Almost all of them.
Man, I do not know where the cap of that chapstick just went and rolled to.
And if you poll people in the Scandinavian countries, I guarantee the happiness will be near the highest in the world. They are not the same.
Well,
you fucking moron.
One of the so-called happiest countries is a monarchy. It's that's what they say about Bhutan. That's like their phrase. Is it actually true? Not necessarily. But like Ghana again, like it's another thing that commies cope with is the lights in North Korea. You know, the Economist article. It's like measuring what regimes say their GDP is versus what their lights are.
Mm-hmm.
So let me pull up that graphic real quick.
Yeah, and they're Japan's political campaigning is super annoying. Like I was living there for 6 months and I already was sick of the little vans that run around shouting their political statements through the streets. It's hilarious. But yeah, it's basically that. It's you've got the right-wing party, and then the crazy parties. So it's kind of interesting. But I'll say this: Japan could use some communism.
Okay, so well, the Japanese Communist Party is kind of sick.
Well, that's what he was saying. That there's the one good communist party.
So this is the graph where it's like, so they measure the satellite estimate versus reported, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the further away the dot is the more the government lies. So you get Ethiopia, China down here, right?
Yeah.
But if you look at free countries, the last one, it's because it's by it's also arranged by capital, like how much GDP they have. So the poorest free country on this graph is Ghana. Look at like how like the differences there though.
Yeah.
You know, like it's as
the
far
gray
as
is how
Lebanon.
much they actually lied.
Yeah, and Hungary. So as far
Okay.
as Lebanon and Hungary almost, right? But like I'm just saying, like that's
What's
pretty
the little
fucking
one
good.
before it?
Where?
Down? No, the two before it. Next one.
Peru and then Poland.
Interesting.
Poland.
What's the biggest gap?
Oh, China and Ethiopia.
Okay.
Look, Yemen doesn't lie. Yemen is probably a short one down here. That's you know, they're not lying. They're like, we're fucking broke. We need help. Or we're starving to death.
Help me, please.
I'd like to see if the circle can go the other way, you know. If they've been
they predicted that they would lie some but didn't at all.
But they're lying about how they're like underestimating themselves, like the report like way higher. You know, but like most of these countries, like the more free you get, the closer the disparity and lies that the government, this is corruption measurement basically.
Yeah.
So the point is that nobody talks about how much Ghana's economy has grown.
Yeah, true. You don't ever hear about it.
Mm-hmm. Unless you watch us, which I always bring up Ghana
all the time
because it's extraordinary.
Cool country. Yeah,
it's extraordinary.
Uganda's
the-
another very interesting
that,
country.
like honestly, like this whole thing about China doing it in record time to get people out of poverty, I think Ghana is going to blow them out of the water, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, also China hasn't brought anybody out of poverty. I mean, probably a little bit, but
Well, I mean,
not a
Ghana's
whole
still a
lot.
very poor country.
Yeah. I mean, China's a very poor country. It's just the few billionaires off skew it. You know, people talk about billionaires in America and wealth disparity. When I talk about wealth disparity, go look at China. It's their poverty rate is $246 a year, I believe it is. Meaning that they're lifting people out of poverty just means that they have to make 267 or whatever it was, 57. One number higher than that to actually take them out of poverty. But
okay, this is probably a
Yeah.
source from China. Sorry to
Mhm.
interrupt, but it says growth rate compared to other countries. It puts China at 8.1, United States at 5.7, and then Ghana at 5.4.
Interesting.
But Ghana, if according to this, which is probably a Chinese source, so it's Ghana's GDP growth rate to other countries. So this was created by Ghana, but it's growing faster than Australia, Canada, Saudi Arabia, Germany, and Japan.
Crazy.
That's
That's
all they're
actually
measured
insane.
against. Yeah. That's where you
Wild.
need to put your money right now.
Certainly looks like it. And they're right in a fucking hot zone too.
Yeah, right. Like there's
That's
literally
that's
like
the
that the
craziest
coup
thing.
happening right across their border.
Crazy.
The difference, of course, obviously, is that one was a beneficiary of colonial violence, the other usually a recipient. Okay? So it's even more impressive that they're able to implement genuine socialization and genuine centralized planning that benefits broad swaths of the fucking population.
Okay.
Everybody gets horny as fuck for Germany. All of the fucking sock dems on Twitter literally
Germany.
nut when talking about how beautiful EU countries are. But when you fucking turn around and talk about China, they're like, whoa, dude, chill. That's like the worst country you could point to, my man. Whoa, dude, what the fuck?
I really like how buildings fall on people. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I reckon that's pretty cool. You know, cutting corners in construction and putting people's lives at risk just so you can pocket a little bit of money. That's pretty fucking cool. Yeah. Yeah, let's not talk about China though.
Colonial violence? What do you mean? Like, as far as China's colonial violence goes, we're talking about its development. Chinese development was stunted by being victims of colonial violence.
Was it? Pretty sure China was a civilization longer than most of them. Their growth wasn't disrupted at all.
I think the trap here is the idea of nation states, because nation states did not exist really until after World War II.
Sure,
Like,
but the idea of
nationalism-
China and a person is as Chinese under a ruling
Yes.
emperor with
But also like with
territory.
the Chinese Exclusion Act, was that just Asians, people who looked Chinese, or did they have like, or did they like, did you come from China? You know?
I'm not sure. Surely they would have to check.
I don't know, man. It was a long time ago.
I know. But like this whole idea that China's growth was stunted, like, yeah, if we're strictly talking about the modern nation state times, sure. But China was developed long before many of these countries.
Well, there's also like the opium thing. What do they call it? The
The
century of like,
Century of humiliation.
yeah, century of humiliation.
Yeah, like that. To say they weren't a victim of colonial violence is wrong, because they were. Britain literally waged a war to addict them to drugs, and then stole Hong Kong from them as a consolation prize, which I guess, sure, whatever. So sure, China is a victim of colonial violence, and you have Japan doing its thing in Nanjing. But to say that it was stunted, I'm not sure you could say that, because realistically, the modern Chinese state started in 1949. which means that the only stunting of their growth was done by the Chinese Communist Party.
This whole argument with nation states, though, it's this thing where they were like, Palestine was never like a recognized state, right? It's like, yeah, no shit, because like states, there's going to be a time, I'm guarantee it, where they're like, remember when we had states?
Can't wait. I hope it's in the next 10 years.
Well, like that's
That'll
the
be
thing
great.
is that the United Nations is preventing it. You crazy. I'm gonna talk about this more on like our next LTech, but like you know about Somaliland?
No.
So basically, Italy and Britain owned different places in Somalia. And when colonialism ended, they all unified. Well, the British region didn't, there's differences because the colonial divide made differences. So Somaliland held its own autonomy. It has its own passport, its own currency, but it's not recognized by the UN, right? So this is why I say that the Somali government only controls a third of Somalia, because the south is Al-Shabaab, right?
Yeah.
They have the center, and then the north is Somaliland. And so there's a lot of stuff going on there because people are so afraid of the conflict escalating, right? But they don't realize that the other half of that is also across the Red Sea in Africa, because Ethiopia is also looking to recognize Somaliland and to do fucking deals with them, because Ethiopia is landlocked, right? Their options are Djibouti, Somaliland, or Kenya. Right.
Okay.
And Kenya Kenya, Ghana, and Ethiopia all became the top 8 economies. And this is like by 2005 to 2020, they were in the top 8
of Africa.
Well, South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, and Morocco stayed in the top 4, but they changed positions. So they're all like emerging economies. But Kenya and Ethiopia are exactly right next to each other. And that's the thing with like Sudan, and why you look at like Egypt's involvement there, because Sudan used to be in the 90s in the top 8. They have a lot of oil there that can be still extracted. There's a lot of money involved in Sudan. And so Ethiopia needs to establish itself economically to like stay in line, and like so that's why they might not want to go to Kenya, because Kenya's
Wasn't
like the
there
economic rival.
Wasn't there conflict heating up between Eritrea and Ethiopia because they wanted to seize that little chunk?
Well,
of
that's the
land
thing, is they would have to go through Eritrea for Djibouti, which is why they might move to recognize Somaliland and go through Somaliland, which would be an autonomous territory. And it's probably one of the most legitimate autonomous territories that isn't recognized, honestly.
Okay.
The fact that they have their own passport is insane.
Yeah, it's the argument for the Kurdish state as well, right? Is that the UN needs to recognize it? Yeah.
Yeah, there's been violence in Kirkuk lately again too, but also like well, so rumor has it that the leader of Hezbollah has retreated to Iraq because he's scared of Israel. So with this has upscaled some operations within the PMF. So
interesting.
Because everyone's getting a little bit more heated up, some of those skirmishes are occurring again.
Interesting.
Islands. You're doing it already. You're doing the thing. Oh, yeah. Japan only exterminated 40 million Chinese, like the rapes and the Nazi style, which, by the way, ironically,
Say 40 million. Did you say 40 million
by Japan? I don't know how much died there. I assume a lot.
I am going to double check this.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And also, at the same time the Nazis were doing this, Nazi-style experimentation on the Chinese. Ironically, of course, back then we were kind of aligned, us in America, with China.
300,000.
They had a pretty solid spy apparatus.
What did he say?
That we
40 million.
Who knows where he gets it? So type in 40 million. Then you'll see where he gets his source. Right?
Yeah. 40 million.
40 million Chinese, World War II. That's all you got to type. And then it will tell you.
40 million Chinese, World War II.
Anything?
Whoops. It just says casualties of World War II.
Yeah, so I think that's like how.
I think it's 40 million civilians died in total. There is something here about Chinese.
Yeah, so 40 million people did die.
Yeah, in the totality of World War II.
Oh, okay. In just China or everywhere, to be clear?
At least 5 million Chinese civilians from northern China and Manchukuo were enslaved. Between 35 and 41, that was by Japan when they held Manchuria. 42, the number reached 10 million. This is enslaved, not dead.
I mean, that's pretty much what the Holocaust was enslaving people.
Between 4 to 10 million were forced to work by the Japanese military. 270,000 of these. This is Java, so these are Indonesians. So, okay, so there's 5 mention of Chinese. Because the Japanese don't like talking about this. The Japanese grossly underestimate the numbers. Obviously, right? That's what nationalists do. The estimate numbers of the Nanking massacre is 50 to 300,000. 2.7 million casualties reported by the Japanese. Weird.
Right here, National World War II Museum. The number of civilian deaths in China alone might be more than 50 million.
Interesting. There's a lot. I haven't heard that statistic before, so I was curious. Interesting. To be determined.
Things could have been very different. Anyway.
Gravy trade. The US and UK both elect leaders who love this free trade global capitalism.
More trade, not less, is the wave of the future.
The new system was boosted by all of this new technology that was coming up, making it easier to pass information across borders, to move money, to move people, to move goods across the globe. A globe that used to be vast and daunting and closed, but now just looked like a giant marketplace. All of this transforming in a matter of decades.
It really didn't take that long.
But I need to call something out that is very important and that is maybe not obvious at this point, which is that the seemingly magical process that made the world economy do this wasn't actually thanks to technology. It was thanks to humans' most amazing invention, most amazing technology.
Where?
Policy.
Okay.
Words on a page.
So
that establish the rules that
the museum itself does list it at 20 million. 1 million from the Philippines.
That's not surprising. Would have been heaps from Philippines was where they did the march, right? I think it was. I think it was the Philippines. Let me double check that. Borneo.
A lot of people. 20 million. As much as the Soviet Union.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They did these death marches a lot. This wasn't like a unique thing. This is okay, interesting. Because there's one really bad one. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, I'll keep looking.
I still don't understand what Hassan's so mad about.
Yeah. I don't get it either. He just needs to chill the fuck out.
What is he? He's yelling because they only recognize China or something? What is his? I don't understand the point and why we stopped to look that up. Do you?
I think it was the number was the reason we stopped.
Yeah, but why did he care about that number?
No, he just brought that number up saying that was how many people died because of
But if that's relevant to like something he was pissed about because of something and something.
Probably. It's Hassan. It's not relevant. He gets angry about dumb shit like chat.
To obey. If we all believe and obey these rules, it creates the conditions that made the world into a giant marketplace where a corporation could source whatever they needed to make their.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. Unless he means like policy for the Western world,
crazy,
right? He must not mean like the global South. There is 0% chance he's talking about the global South. because gains made
What?
by GDP for Western nations and those within the imperial core is dramatic and
cringe.
oftentimes done at the cost
30-second
of
time
a
penalty.
trade, or the way that we have done trade in like the neoliberal world.
Oh,
is very
cringe.
beneficial
Mhm.
for America and its allies in the global north, in the EU and other, I guess, like Marshall Plan recipient nations. Not
Okay.
necessarily been that beneficial for all of the other countries whose mineral wealth and natural resources were robbed, whose productive forces were, I guess its productive forces were uplifted, but oftentimes at great cost.
A page that establish rules that countries and people promise to obey. If we all believe and obey these rules, it creates the conditions that made the world into a giant marketplace where a corporation could source whatever they needed to make their product from anywhere in the world, whatever made the most economic sense. Soon, products as simple as a t-shirt would travel along an unfathomably complex supply chain using material and labor from many countries all around the globe before eventually showing up conveniently just in time at the store. Policy had created mass cooperation between billions of people who don't speak the same language, who don't know each other, but are somehow all getting in on the same market. This mental construct of economic policy is what created globalization, the globalization we know today. And what's crazy to me is that if you tinker with the policy, if you mess with this, you can reverse a lot of this globalization, which is exactly what's happening right now.
There is simply no reason why the blades for wind turbines can't be built in Pittsburgh instead of Beijing.
Okay, but let's stick to our timeline here. We're kind of in the 90s. And I'll tell you, people in the 90s would have never guessed what direction this
Sounds like he's snorted a ton of Adderall at this speed. It's funny as
story is about to go. The Soviet Union had just fallen. Free trade and global capitalism had unambiguously beat communism, and the magic of the free market was seen as the solution for pretty much
Come on,
everything.
he's gonna pause it. I fucking knew it.
Beat communism. I'm gonna die. I am going to
Please.
die a million deaths. Now remember.
Can we go
remember,
back? I was typing.
This man is a.
I want to see him actually like.
And global
viscerally
capitalism
react to
had
it.
unambiguously beat communism,
Hey,
and
Greece.
the magic of the free
Right?
market
Was
was
that
seen
Greece?
as the
No, it was
solution
Berlin
for
Wall.
pretty much everything.
Free trade had beat communism. I'm gonna die. I am going to die a million
did.
deaths. Now remember.
It literally
remember,
did.
It
this
literally
man
did.
Is a
Cope.
liberal. This is why Stalin wasn't right on a lot of stuff, except for killing a fuckload of Nazis and saying that social democrats.
Stalin
are social
didn't do
fascists,
any of
okay?
that, my dude.
What the fuck? You are literally pointing to
He's just saying
actual
that
fucking
Johnny Harris
fascist
is a
government
fascist.
as a goddamn
Hey,
liberal.
hey,
30
little
years
baby.
later, and going.
Little baby.
Remember when they actually kind of only did free trade, and that's how the USSR perished? He's not even a sock them. I guess that's true, but it's like crazy to me to look at all of this and just cast it with the most rose-tinted to look at it with the most rose-tinted glasses, to cast it with the broadest brush, to make it seem as though it is simply a consequence. Like, we did trade, okay, which is capitalism. The USSR can't do trade, no trade, because that's communism. And that's how trade won, really. This is how we did it. Like, for example, Chile, which I used earlier on. What happened in Chile? Oh, that's right. We did trade. World Trade Center style trade. What do I mean by that? 9/11. But not
Why
the
is he so
9/11
mad?
World Trade Center that you know about. I'm talking about the first 9/11. Okay? That was another act of trade.
This is
Free trade
awesome.
had
What
just
a
ended
goober.
global conflict between these great superpowers, maybe forever. Free trade was eradicating global
The
poverty.
coup in
Free
Chile
trade was
when they
pushing countries-
bombed it
Yeah,
was
no,
on
it's so
9/11.
No, it's right. I think stuff like the
That's
allegations of
insane.
forced organ harvesting from political prisoners takes away a lot of the appeal from any social.
Oh, organ
He
harvesting
just needs to
mentioned.
chill.
Organ harvesting mentioned.
Why did that not play? What are you doing, silly thing?
Conflict
Doesn't
with the
like
Chinese
it.
government, but it's also very difficult to separate facts from propaganda when it comes to criticism. When it comes to criticism of China, so I
Don't
don't
care
know.
about your chat.
No, not 93 9/11. The other night. Oh, anyway, yeah, trading democratically elected. Yeah, trading democratically elected leaders with fascist dictatorships, which is, if you didn't want that to happen, then you shouldn't have fucking voted for a democratic socialist. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, it's gonna happen to you, and
God.
you're gonna like it. That's a good trade for us. Also, it was really cool when trade eradicated global poverty. That was sick. That's a real thing. That happened. Yeah, that's why when you go to
I
like
mean,
a
if you're
fucking
the World Economic
where is
Forum,
it? Is
that's
it
what
in
they love
Malaysia?
to
The
say. They
sulfur
love
mines.
to say capitalism fucking upgraded all this shit.
Yeah, stakeholder capitalism, whatever the fuck they call it.
Yeah, no, well, they say like people they're capitalism apologists. And they say that capitalism's responsibility is why, there's a tower in Dubai and stuff. I mean, technically that is like Uber capitalism. Dubai built capitalism, but
Yeah.
They are real big beneficiaries. What is the first 9/11? Don't roast. It's the Chilean coup, is what I'm talking about. Also happens to be on 9/11. Also, Johnny Harris is wrong. It's not like you can add new protections and reindustrialize a country. When you deindustrialize, you not only lose the industry, you lose the supply chain, you lose the specialty engineers, specialty workers for the industries. USA is finding all of this now with their push for semiconductors. They have all the same issues I mentioned. Capitalism won, over communism, sore loser, Trump 2024. Yeah, this is what I mean. It's like, here's where why are you talking
Really don't care by the video.
being like,
what?
Oh my
They would
god.
demand a greater enterprise.
He's literally calling Johnny Harris a fascist because he said
the more fully it will liberate
that free trade. Oh, look, there he is again.
Too simple, huh? Sometimes naive.
That's Hassan.
the potential of its people, their initiative, their imagination, their remarkable spirit of enterprise. And when individuals have the power, not just to dream, but to realize their dreams, they will.
How is Bill Clinton
hurts my
like not enemy number one for commies?
Yeah, I know. It doesn't make any sense. He just got away for it. He just got away.
Kosovo, they got a statue of him.
Mm-hmm. I know. I remember. I had it as my background.
Mm-hmm.
Prevent our age-old human curse, war, by so deeply entangling countries in mutually beneficial deals that it wouldn't make sense to fight. After all, free trade had turned Europe from a continent ravaged by war to this tightly knit group where everyone's holding hands and smiling together. Why wouldn't this naturally just happen for the whole globe?
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
that's exactly
guess
how
what?
it works.
NATO did that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Trade-
they're holding their hands. America's just
Trade did
there
not do that.
babysitting them.
NATO did that, right? NATO is there to make sure Europeans don't start another world war.
That's literally what their job.
Like,
It's
countries
America
join
babysitting
NATO
Europe.
to prevent getting invaded, so world war won't happen.
Yeah. Because Europe is a bunch of children who can't fucking keep their hands to themselves.
I remember what I said earlier about how culture also brings up how these governments run and how their politics are run, right?
Yeah.
European culture being the worst culture, can't be trusted, got to babysit it.
Yeah. Naturally it has the worst politics.
Trade partnership between the UK and Germany, for example, is identical to America and the motherfucking Philippines or some shit. That's just how it works. Duh. I don't get it. Like,
he didn't do the NATO expansion to
That's
win an
how it works,
election.
yeah.
Poland forced
What do
their
you
way in. There was literally like nothing. They literally got to a point where they couldn't say no. Like,
Oh, that's so funny.
and then he was like, then he took the W for it anyway, And also it was Joe Biden who like really pushed it. Clinton fought him along the way. But in the end, who cares? Because they're all on the same Democratic Party, so they took it as a collective W.
Like, totally mutually beneficial, like what we do in the fucking Congo, and also what Germany and France are doing.
What about China?
China continues.
Whoa. What? China in the Congo, bro? What do you mean? What we do in the Congo?
It's funny how he just so quickly graced off that one.
Make stuff and send it to the United States. Our dependency on them and them on us continue
Look
to
at you,
grow.
both of you
And that would
eating
surely prevent
fingernails
any
at the same
conflict,
time.
right? No. It's looking like that's not how it's going to turn out. In fact, it's kind of the opposite.
The new tariffs from both sides went into effect earlier this morning. The US has imposed 10% tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese imports.
China is our military's
Okay, you ready?
strategic
Ready?
competitor and pacing challenge.
The United States is the single largest financier and contributor to the UN Organization Specialization Mission of the Congo, right?
Yep.
Which just ended.
Okay.
So if that are we saying is that what the US does?
Sure, I guess.
If they're containing the M23 rebels with the UN money.
We should look at what China does there.
Are we
Cobalt mine.
talking about like businesses there? Do I need to look at business relations here and where the exploitation is?
Yeah, look up oil companies in the Congo.
In
Like,
a relatively
I guarantee
sudden
you he's only calling up the Congo because China is trying to detract from That's correct. Joe Biden is number one. As far as like liberal Democrats, Joe Biden is the best one there is. Not necessarily
government-
my style of politics, but when it comes to being a liberal Democrat, you can't beat his legacy. And he ended it with being a president, you know? Like that's just like that's it's like Reagan levels of politics, except Reagan reigned from like the top.
Yeah.
Governments around the world are undoing a lot of this globalization, this solution to all of our problems. They're rejecting it. India is paying companies to keep their production within their own borders, especially for important industries like pharmaceuticals and electronics. South Korea is giving taxpayer money to companies to produce green energy infrastructure instead of waiting for the free market to come build it.
Yeah, these guys are fucked up, dog. Wait, what? South Korea is giving companies taxpayer money
to produce green energy infrastructure instead of waiting for the free market to come build it.
What do you mean instead of waiting for free market to come build it? South Korea was a military dictatorship, and then the military dictatorship transferred power over to fucking like 8 families, and it's still very much regulated in like not an identical structure, but pretty much as far as I understand.
Crazy. You mean they have like a shogunistic type politic?
Crazy. It's almost like Japan, China, and Korea grew up mixing their cultures and influencing each other and ending up on the same fucking wavelength. You actual clown. He really does need an anthropology lesson. He really does. Or history. Or anything, really. Any kind of education would help.
All right, I'm looking up conflict minerals, and the United States, along with the international community, has sought to improve peace and security in the DRC for over 2 decades. However, according to the Department of State and the United Nations, conflict has persisted and contributed to severe human rights abuses and the displacement of people. Armed groups continue to profit from mining and trading conflict minerals, according to the state. This United States government website. So they said it's not our fault. It's the M23 rebels.
Yeah, and fucking China digging up the mines and using child slave labor.
I mean, it's a complicated nation. There's a lot of Ace can talk about this extensively.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of tribal stuff going on. And I mean, even the Rwandans are the ones who are backing the M23 rebels.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wait,
people
really?
Yeah. Well, we can't actually they are, but they, it's like that's who the finger's being pointed at.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Most well-versed person on South Korean economy, but it literally is insanely tightly regulated in a way that absolutely churns out positive results for capital owners. But it's still
if we're only saying Biden's presidency, then I'm fine debating this. But if we're just talking about everything he's done over his career, he ended a genocide. So he already comes in at above the rest, I think Bill Clinton may have tried to feed Somalia and made it worse. I mean, that's pretty much all he's got. I think Rwanda is on his hands too.
Was Mogadishu under Clinton?
I'm pretty sure. And then I think Rwanda, he had a principal role in being able to prevent that, and he slept through it.
Oh, great.
Basically,
awesome.
I mean, that's kind of Clinton foreign policy, his economic policies were legendary, right? He really brought America into the next century of trade and dominance there, and essential. Without him, who would have paid for the Iraq War?
There you go. So yeah, it was. Wait, nope. This one. It loaded. This one. Yeah. So it was under.
Yes.
Clinton. Yeah, that was the question.
They just made that whole. That's what's going to happen again here pretty soon. They're going to go. They're going to make it with Yemen and stuff. If they, we say they would be so. It's such a mistake to bomb the Houthis.
Yeah, it's so silly.
Just keep shooting them if they try to fuck with rafts.
Is the state capitalist country that people think China is. That's what it is. That's in my opinion, that is closer to state capitalism than China is.
Japan is paying companies to move production back to Japan and to move their supply chains away from China. Australia is using taxpayer money to encourage mining companies to.
Japan is moving away from China. Wonder why?
Oh, couldn't imagine why.
Establish the processing of rare earth
insanely capitalism. Most probably those companies are the same families you mentioned.
Mineral facilities within their borders instead of abroad. Nigeria is imposing restrictions on foreign goods that they want to see produced domestically, like rice and cement. They don't want to be reliant on other countries. And then you've got Europe, where tons of countries are investing government money and protecting homegrown industries that have always been directed by the global economy, like energy, agriculture, and cars. The government getting involved in these markets.
Huh?
Italy. I said cars. Talking about Italy
And Germany.
cars. Yeah, well, because like I don't know. He had symbols for each of them.
Mm. There was no cars on Italy, I don't think.
It was like something. I don't know.
It was crops, I think, because a lot of olive oil.
Companies and consumers to make and sell these products in country, as opposed to looking abroad at the global market. And of course, leading out on all of this is the OG of the modern free market global economy, the United States, who is suddenly changing course from how they've been operating all the way up until like Obama. Like Obama spent a great deal of his time trying to increase free trade, especially with Asia. Then first under Trump and now under Biden, the US is overhauling its economic policy to turn back some of this free trade. And what's crazy is that both Republicans and Democrats
Yeah, the problem is trade protectionism is one thing, but if the benefits are not socialized, then you're fucked, and you're not going to be able to overcome the economic problems that you cultivated by implementing free trade, okay? Which was never really free trade to begin with. You didn't do free trade and then socialize the benefits of it to a degree where even like European nations have, okay? Here's the thing. American free trade is in some ways better than what like I guess France still does to this day with like the fucking African nations that it controls the currency of, right? Like it's still technically a little bit better, not by like wide margins, but it's like less direct involvement that makes people feel like they actually signed up for it, or it's usually the corrupt government that signed up for it, whatever, okay? But at least France, to a certain degree, even though it relies on the wealth of African countries that it fucking controls, okay, the banking system of, socializes those benefits. A lot of European countries do this.
So
they rely on the global south for
who are we
manufacturing. They do
like?
the same
Do we honestly believe there's going to be like a fucking he's been smoking too much of the Peter Zahan that China is going to completely collapse? Like China is going to control the huge percentage of domestic production forever. Like it's going to be China forever. Just because the United States is seeking to pull semiconductors away from China, and Australia is going to get its own rare earth minerals, like instead of like insourcing them from like Chinese labor, right? Like who the fuck cares? Like this is going to have like such little impact. This whole like the 2030 project that they want to sell you on, how like the world is going to be perfect and everything is going to be like socialized. You won't even need money, you know? Communism will be achieved, guys. Just believe in capitalism and it's coming. Like who the fuck are we kidding with that? We're going to have some domestic production come back. Good. We've actually been working on that for a long time. Obama's main thing was getting us off of foreign oil, for example. We've been pulling domestic production for oil back to America for a long time, right? So we've already like become economically independent this year or last year because of our oil, right? So we're completely economically independent on oil. And that means that there's other factors that we can now expand our economic independence into, like energy, like being leaders in energy is going to be important for us. So of course they're going to invest in these fucking chips coming home, right? Like China can't make these chips anyway. And if they're threatening Taiwan, we have to have a copy production here. And then guess what? Taiwan gets invaded and the semiconductor industry doesn't collapse and nothing changes. But Taiwan's not going to get invaded.
No, but the semiconductor collapse of the semiconductor.
We need more anyway. We need this expansion anyway.
A collapse of the semiconductor trade system would collapse the world economy. It would. It really would. Nobody would be saved. It would be back to rocks.
Yeah. People are afraid of Russia exchanging nukes.
Yeah.
But then they, at least to a certain degree, socialize the actual benefits that they make from this unequal exchange. The United States of America doesn't. That's the most nutty part about the United States of America, is that it is so fucking hyper-capitalist that it won't even give you the fucking same social safety nets that is like afforded to every individual in the other European countries where they do the same shit, but at least socialize a little bit. So that's why I'm saying like trade protectionism is not going to solve this problem. What is going to solve this problem is socialism. Okay, you can do trade protectionist as like a liberal Democrat. You can do it as a right-wing populist Trump-style Republican.
Nothing's 100%.
No, it depends. I mean, it's less likely than the invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah, it's much less likely, but it could be a desperate last-ditch attempt to justify a legacy from a crazy old man obsessed with leaving a legacy. So that's the only way that I really see it won't.
Yeah, which is partially what they say why Putin invaded Ukraine.
Yeah.
So,
which there's a lot of factors there. It's not just that.
But are we 100% certain China won't invade? No, they're not. That's why they're duplicating the fucking factories here. That's the whole reason for it.
Yeah.
You know, but ultimately, that's not going to fix the fucking problem.
Seem to agree that we should do this, and fast.
There's no reason. You have the capacity.
Some of these policies include huge government spending bills like the CHIPS Act, which would allocate over $50 billion government dollars to
This is like the
that
first thing
produce
Biden
microchips
did
here in the United States.
And I was like, this is.
I like how Johnny
I
Harris
was
said
like, the
Jews
one
were
thing
like-
America's policy needs to do, it needs a CHIPS Act. I was saying that for like 2 years, and that's the first thing he did.
Yeah, you were saying it for a while. I remember you were first saying it around the same time. I think we started talking. I think I remember you were talking about it. So it's kind of interesting that was the first thing you did.
Less on the global market and on its own domestic goods is a bad thing. Yeah. So what you're saying is because of the Revolutionary War, we don't have universal health care? What? I'm not saying that, but that's an interesting way to approach the subject. Anyway.
Instead of in Asia, where the free market had pulled them to set up. This is also happening in other industries that the government has deemed vital, like critical minerals, cars, and clean energy. But they're not just giving subsidies, like it's not just government money washing down on all these industries. It's also barriers. Biden is imposing tariffs on imports, which protects domestic producers of certain industries, because they no longer have to compete with the global market. They're also banning American
Yeah, except if you don't have domestic producers, then you're just cooking.
companies from selling certain products to China. They're increasing.
Don't we have like this part is crazy? Don't we already have
No,
like a
it's not.
version of this with Japan, for example? Like
No, it's
with
not.
Japanese
Bro,
vehicles.
when the fucking main thing that's coming out of these drones that are hitting Ukraine all the time came out of those fucking Dell laptops that they gave out to schools for free, like the government made deals with Dells. And so they all gave like these schools Dell computers, like desktops, like it was Dell in every school, right? All of those chips in those computers are now killing Ukrainians that I like went to school with, that I did my homework on, right?
How?
Because they dug them out of a landfill, basically. It's electronic scrap, right? Because this is like from this is like early 2000s, right? And that's the thing. That's why they're not selling products to China. Because didn't it, like Israel fucking sold them a jet, they knocked off the jet, like
That was the
course.
F-16.
Of course. It's in the US's best interest. Like, US isn't playing fair. Like, who is? What country plays fair? That's the whole point.
You're literally just kneecapping yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah. Like, what do you expect? The United States to it wants to keep prices low. It wants to economically put China lower.
This is a cost of the nation state.
Mm-hmm.
Cope or work to change it. It's very simple.
Well, I mean, he's trying to cope. That's why he's so angry.
Yeah.
It's his coping mechanism.
Vehicles like pickup trucks directly due to American lobbying. That's why the Japanese pickup trucks that you sell that you see in
No. We didn't. No. That's not what happened. Okay, first of all, it's actually government regulation is why our cars are so dangerous now. It's just like how they did the assault rifle bans and how they always find a way around what the specific ban is, right?
Yeah.
And
now it's all half cuts, right?
Huh?
People cut a car in half, then weld it back together, and then they get in a crash and the car splits apart and they die.
No. It's
from the car.
The issue is that what most of our cars classify as actually a light truck, right?
Okay.
So when you get hit by something of that size, you go under instead of over it. So that's
Yeah,
why
okay.
they're more dangerous. They're more dangerous to society because you can't see the
right.
road in front of you and all that
Gotcha.
stuff. They're just they're just too much for a regular person to have and
Hello.
everyone to have. It's impractical unless it's not saying if you need it, go ahead, buy your fucking F-150. But like the F-150 sucks. The truck bed is like shorter than like a regular actual work truck.
Yeah, import a Holden, import a Ute. That's the way to go. You can pick them up for like 10 grand, import them.
Like the fact that when you have a truck that also has seats in the back that are like comfortable, like that's too big. Like, you know, like a truck should only have 2 seats in it.
A bench seat.
Well, normally you can like fold like benches down in the back and like be in that little like section back there in a truck.
Like Americanized. That's why you can't get the K trucks unless they're like super old, or that's why you can't get. That's why you don't have like the Japanese pickup trucks that are very different.
Yeah, that's why we can't
else.
get the fucking ISIS Toyotas.
The original Nissan Skyline was banned. No, but the OG is the Toyota Hilux. The Toyota Tacoma is the Americanized version of the Toyota pickup trucks, the Toyota Hilux. Oh yeah, it's the chicken tax. The chicken tax was 25% tariff on light trucks imported to the U.S. The United States imposed a tariff in 1964 in an executive order issued by President Lyndon Johnson as retaliation for European tariffs on American chicken imports. In the years since
it's
then,
Hilux, retard.
The average U.S.
Well, he's probably saying it like a,
like an American.
No, like they probably say it kind of like because like that's more of like a Mediterranean sound is that type of H pronunciation.
No, it's Hilux. He's saying Hilux.
I'm saying, but he's probably used to hearing it as that because that's more of like how the Mediterraneans pronounce that sound.
Sure. I'm gonna go with.
And he's Turkish, so it's like I'm sure Turkey pronounces it like that because most places around there do.
It's Japanese.
What?
The name.
Yes, I'm saying that in Turkey they pronounce it like that.
I understand. I'm saying he's still wrong.
That's fine. He's just pronouncing it localized how they do.
Stands at 2% as of 2022, according to U.S. government figures, but the chicken tax still stands. The original order slapped 25% tariff on potato starch, dextrin, and brandy, as well as light trucks. In the intervening decades, the other products were stripped out, but the tariff on the light trucks imports remains. Wonder why. Meanwhile, the American auto industry was suffering a trade crisis of its own. Imports of Volkswagen cars surged in the early 60s. Americans embraced the Beetle and its cousin Type 2 van. The situation was dire enough that U.S. automakers, the United Auto Workers Union, brought the issue to the German auto imports to the presidential bargaining table. President Johnson was trying to persuade Walter Reuther, president of the United Auto Workers, not to call a strike just before the 1964 election. The president also wanted union support for his civil rights agenda. He got what he wanted in return for including light trucks and the chicken tax.
We've already explained it.
Trucks and vans in the U.S. plummeted.
We already explained it.
I think it's also
government bans caused
homologation.
Increasing to usher in on any investment that comes in from places like China. Like, this is a big shift. And the question is, what happened?
Are you disappointed that he's not doing the camera shift to look at the camera when it goes to the side cut? Because I think we're being cheated of a Johnny Harris side cut thing, you know?
I kind of agree. He should be looking at the camera.
Yeah, he should. Like, let's get those marks in place, you know?
Markets have been whipsawed all morning and now afternoon by this ongoing trade war with China.
The short answer is one word. The answer to all of this, protection. Here's my list of 4 protections that best explain this big shift in economic policy. First, workers, which we already kind of talked about briefly with the China shock. For all the winners of the global economy, there were lots of losers, and a lot of them were communities who found themselves...
The best part was that she went to the New South Wales police to draft it, and then notoriously the most dumb when it comes to gun laws in Australia. That's the best part. And it's even funnier that New Zealand got banned from owning guns because of an Australian. Like, should have fought harder.
Out of work as their jobs.
If only when we were dealing with these kinds of trade deals, not even with respect to China, but in general, if there was like some way to ensure that workers, or at least like labor unions at the time, had a say in what like workers' protections had to be implemented that were comparable. I'm just saying that is a thing you could do. Because notice how the trade protections.
I bet you everybody that's involved with the Belt and Road Initiative wishes that they thought of that. Because the amount of Chinese workers that get shipped in is not preferable. It's not a good deal. I bet you all the workers in those local countries are not very happy about it.
It doesn't matter because they eventually do the debt relief policies anyway.
Oh, they've done it once.
I mean, we do it too. We pay off their debt too.
Sure, but they've done it once. Doesn't
It's
mean
all
they're going to do
fake.
it again.
It's all
And
fake.
the timing was also very curious. So
Mm-hmm.
unless the timing is correct, I don't think they're going to be doing it.
That we just talked about with the chicken tax, including light trucks, existed. That's because that was not just done at the benefit of the UAW and the auto workers, but also specifically done at the benefit or at the behest of capital owners. That's why the lobbying continued. That's why the real lobbying that occurred there was done by not just labor unions, but instead by
okay, so we're
capital
anti-union
owners.
now. Got it.
The real important.
What do you want? See, he's whining for the exact thing. The exact thing that he wants is more unions, right? He says he fights for unions, but what is he whining about? Unions, right? Right now he's mad about the auto unions, like they're like the Joe Biden striking down the auto unions, right? So are you for or against the auto union, bro? Like, pick a fucking side.
Confused.
Consider something to remember, because the reality is when you do these kinds of trade, when you do these kinds of free trade contracts, you can do it in a way that
Bro, he's got his
you can
cult
do it in a way
leader
where you
grip
actually
on.
manage
Jared
how
Leto over
competitive
here.
the other country is. You can just
That's
like
very
set rules.
weird.
You can set rules that ensure that the Western-backed companies or the Western companies that open up in these manufacturing facilities or take advantage of these manufacturing facilities are still making sure that the trade is beneficial for the other nation as well, and that it doesn't have to be like, you know, Chinese style governance for it to be beneficial for the other country. You can also set standards for labor. We do it for other environmental stuff. You know what I mean? We do it for other like environmental.
Does Hassan think China's the only country that has trade? Like, what is he talking about?
I think because China was included, that he's just fixated on that now, and he's just going to completely talk about China from now on. I think that's what he's going on about. Because, yeah, I don't know. It's strange.
Is this communism? Is Hassan doing communism?
Don't think so.
I'm still waiting. Remember when I said that he could start fucking a non-profit with all the profit he makes?
Yeah, he literally could.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it goes to his bank account.
Yeah,
Buying
and
pork.
like it's not like he needs to put money into the non-profit. It just you put the upstart fee,
Yeah.
right? Instead of buying a Porsche, you could buy a more modest car and take the rest of that money and put it in a non-profit.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even have to maintain. If that non-profit fails, it fails. Who cares?
Yeah. But then you can say that you started non-profits,
Yeah.
and people can't fault you.
And you
for
can
it.
make sure those nonprofits are run by, like, you know, how you think things should be run, with social democracy and shit in the workplace.
Exactly.
But it
You can
doesn't
pick the
happen.
people to run it.
The one critical communist who has the wealth and capital to do something like that somehow isn't doing it.
Funny how they work.
It's what? Who else is like that?
All of them.
No, just like every communist leader, like he's bought out by capitalism and he's crying about it. Like, what are you crying about? That's you.
Free trade means, you know, steal as much as you can from the poorer country.
Went to cheaper overseas locations.
He ran out of breath.
Now listen,
there.
economists
That's why he
argue
stopped
as to
talking.
how
Did
big
you
of a
see-
problem
Poor
this actually
country.
was, and you
He,
can
like,
read all
fell
about it in my
asleep at the
sources.
end.
But the point is that closed factories and unemployed communities in the Rust Belt have a major psychological effect on people who fear that their jobs might just disappear, either abroad or be taken over by AI.
That's a good point.
Remember Johnny Harris?
That's a really good point.
What?
That it creates a fear and like a worry throughout communities when they see towns shut down.
Well, yeah, that's what the Republicans have been campaigning on for a while. Before Trump, that's all it was. Is like,
Yeah.
even Trump did it. He did the coal mining thing.
The
Like, I'm
small
for the
town
coal
thing.
miners, and then immediately fucked over the coal miners.
Mm-hmm.
He went to like people's workplace in a factory.
In
like
what, West
did that.
Virginia?
No, and like other places is what I'm saying.
Mm.
Like it was in like somewhere else, some other factory.
Okay.
Like he did that shit. He played the game for like that first campaign.
Yeah, and now he's completely dropped the mask.
Yeah, so like that was his whole thing, is that he was like the working man's president. He was sticking up
Yes,
for the working
I
man.
remember. Yeah. Well, I remember.
And that's how the
Little fucking
Republicans
whole ass
always
video.
ran, though. Is
Yeah.
that card. Now
Yeah, always.
Now it's been Trumpified. It's a game show now.
Yes.
And then hopefully after this election, it will go back. Like, if that's why I'm like glad CNN is kicking Vivek out. You know, we don't need it.
Yeah. Fingers
Get out of
crossed.
here.
We can only hope.
But talking about how Iraq was not invaded because of its state-controlled oil extraction industry. So that's just like, I mean, that's like so reductive in many ways, right? That it, like the average American knows about it, and the average American's a fucking dumbass, and even they are like, "Oh, we invaded Iraq for oil," right? It's true, we did, and yet Johnny Harris is like, "Actually, that's not the case." Even though Dick Cheney and
No. just no. No,
I mean,
stop it.
there was reasons, like, so there is like OPEC reasons, like Saddam was like, it's the whole reason why the Iranian diaspora believed that we overthrew the Shah is because he was like manipulating OPEC, right?
Yeah.
So like you could probably say that there was interest in oil who wanted Saddam out of there because he constantly was fucking with OPEC, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because he
But,
was,
like-
wasn't he? Isn't that why he invaded Kuwait, or was that because they were stealing?
Oh,
his
I was
oil?
actually just because I'm editing the mercenary video, and that's something he brings up is Saddam invaded Kuwait because of the angular drill. That's something that Iraq still accuses Kuwait of to this day. Like not too long ago, a few years ago, they said they were using these drills. But like you have to understand, you seen like There Will Be Blood, right?
Yeah.
And it ends because it's like I drank your milkshake, you know. He's not talking about like an angular drill. It's the same oil reserve on the property, right? So he just built a drill. So like Kuwait is already drilling out of the same reserve.
It's the same oil reserve.
Yeah, it's the same oil field. So why would they even need an angular drill to like slightly like
Hilarious.
slurp over into a rock? They just need to pump more
Hilarious.
oil. They can
Yeah.
totally do it if they pump like this. And this has been an issue is how like Kuwait wanting to do this with the oil and Iraq wanting to do that with the oil, and because they have an oil field connected, that's been an issue. And even the United States redrew the border and like gave Iraq more oil fields after that.
Really
Yeah.
interesting. How did Kuwait feel about that?
Well, I don't know, but like I was reading today because I was looking at it up because I was putting sources in the video
Mhm.
because it's one of the few outlandish things that he says that I'm
Yeah.
keeping in. Because it's not that it's not true. There's just like everyone says that this is made up, but at the same time they don't need that angular drill to just suck up Saddam's oil. They could have they could have done it. They could have not have done it. Right. And so like also Kuwait like pressures Saddam into invading Iran and then like taxes him in the debt. And like Kuwait was antagonizing. Like Kuwait was asking for Saddam to like get pissed at them at the end of the day. But like the Iraqi military and border security and like oil well workers would like go have lunch with the Kuwaitis because literally the pumps were like right next to each other.
It's so funny. It's like North and South Korea, right? The little guard house in the middle.
Except these
They
people
both
are
just
actually like
coexist.
nice and social to each other.
Yeah, and then they're just chatting with each other. It's like, oh, how's your day? Oh, not too bad. Oh, it's kind of shit over here. Oh, here too. We'll fight over a tree again.
So I put the source in the video, but so it's like from an actual like student encyclopedia that's like well sourced. And like the first paragraph, it's explaining all the economic stuff.
Mhm.
And then the second paragraph, it's like the number 2 reason for the invasion. It's talking about the stuff like the Saddam accusing Kuwait of manipulating oil and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's just to like, because sometimes we have guests who say things like Pega saying that the CIA overthrew the Shah of Iran. And like,
Yeah.
and like there is partial truth to that. So I put like a source in explaining the context behind that.
Yeah. It's good. Crucial sourcing.
in 1994 was writing fucking letters to Congress talking about how we must privatize the Iraqi oil fields and was already planning on how to parse out the oil fields in Iraq to American corporations, which ended up suspiciously playing out in exactly the designs that the American government and the Chamber of
I
Commerce had
think
made
honestly,
years
it's
prior
really
to
a
actually
dispute between Iraq and Kuwait at the end of the day.
invading
America
Iraq.
didn't need to
I
be
wonder how
called.
that happened.
No.
Well, of course, don't think about that. It's just there's other reasons. It's because George W. Bush was really vindictive and was upset that Daddy.
Oh, he's
was
talking
being
about the second
embarrassed,
Iraq
and that's
War.
why he did it actually. That
Yeah,
must be
yeah.
the real reason why
For
when
sure.
we invaded Iraq, the only fucking ministry that we defended was the
It's echoing bad.
Oh, I unplugged my headphones. I have to break up a chinchilla fight, and I'm just tangled up.
Energy ministry and nowhere else. The only ministry that remained standing was literally the energy ministry. How'd that happen? I wonder why. Anyway, let's continue.
So the government is trying to calm people down by pumping money into certain sectors to keep jobs in America.
And
the
the
next big
Rothschilds
realization about the
control the
global
central
economy,
banks
it doesn't really
and
care
the
much
Jews.
about how much carbon
Okay.
it pumps into our atmosphere.
So-
our world.
The thing is that Iraq is an oil economy, right?
Uh-huh.
So in the battle plan, in the battle for Iraq, right? One of the things that they're prioritizing is the oil, right? Because they need that to have an Iraqi economy, so Iraq could be rebuilt, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Like you cannot rebuild a country.
I mean,
if
in
you
so much other
annihilate
ways,
the
the contracts and all that shit that went out of
Mm.
there, like that, all that money's in DC. It's not in fucking oil companies, bro.
Yeah.
Like oil is so it's too simple.
America went oil.
world is barreling towards a very real climate crisis, and governments realize they're going to have to force the market to get serious about things like
Bro,
electric
I do
cars,
not
solar
understand
panels,
it. It,
and
like,
other green infrastructure.
hurts my
The free market is
brain.
not going to incentivize this,
Okay.
and if it doesn't happen, we're going to have a much bigger problem on our hands. One of the best parts.
What the fuck? Stop talking about politics, please, and thank you.
Was there a whole climate?
What should I do,
section in
Hashi
this?
Baba?
Of the global economy.
Huh?
Did Johnny Harris talk about climate?
No, I think he just skipped it. No, he definitely didn't.
Is that our products get made by materials that are being tossed around the globe at the perfect time, at the perfect place, to all come together to be made into a final product, all to arrive
I
at
had
a
that
shelf
laptop.
at some store
Nice.
so that we can purchase it. These supply chains are insane, and they
Taiwanese.
cross the entire planet. And it works great until the world shut down in a global pandemic, leaving people around the world without the products that they either needed or just kind of got used to having. Again, economists
And whose
argue
fault
about
was
how
that?
big of a deal this was. A lot of them are like, no, the supply chains held up really well during COVID. But regardless of
It
what
did.
some
It
academic
did.
economist is saying at MIT,
The supply chains did hold up
Barely.
during COVID.
all of us are left with a pretty
I mean,
bad
come on. Like, oh no, there wasn't a fucking surplus of apples at the grocery store today. Oh no, supply chain failure. Oh no, I can't get the exact thing I want on the day that I want it.
Just demand it now.
God forbid
Right
you
now.
have to fucking wait a month for something to restock.
Remember lay-by?
taste in our
I'll
mouth
pay
about
off for
supply
this
chains after
dishwasher
COVID.
in
The system-
6
It's so
years.
funny to literally make a 21-minute video about how free trade
Yeah.
is really beneficial
I
for
have the
everybody. As a
the
matter of
Trump
fact.
lawyer
And then
gaming
also-
laptop. What does that even mean?
I don't know what that means.
Try to hit the like populist tone at the 16-minute mark, right at the top of the hour. You know what I mean? Where there's a 3-minute ad break. It's just like you can't fucking literally write the most like pro-academic, pro.
Isn't that so funny? Hassan wasn't paying attention so much so that he forgot that he already sat through Johnny Harris's ad break.
Well, he's doing his ad break. That's what he's doing the debate ad. You know, and since YouTube demonetized us, everyone should go to the Patreon and subscribe for one bone because YouTube demonetized us.
They did. It's not great.
Me
For
the
doing
plot of
views,
Teenage
too.
Mutant Ninja Turtles
Yeah.
or some shit. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, dude, we were all, yeah, Bill Clinton was honest and earnest when he said like free trade is gonna fucking make China a democracy, which it isn't right now. You know what I mean? But it actually
Okay,
will
whoa,
be, and
whoa,
it's
whoa.
not because like
Clinton was an idiot. We've already established this. But Clinton let the Balkan genocide happen because he read a book called Balkan Ghosts. Like, are we serious with Clinton right here? Like, come on, dude. Of course. He believed that the economy is going to bring democracy. It
they
didn't.
wanted to, just like every other fucking president before him, just like every other president after him, just wanted to make products cheaper so that there was a higher profit margin for American and Western capital owners. Like there's and that the reason why he said that is because he wanted to sell it to the dummies who didn't even give a shit really and didn't care and didn't even think about it. It was just for the dummies who read the New York Times to be like, that's right, this is actually a good reason. There is a good real reason for this. Yeah. Yeah, I too think that China will democratize as a consequence of the free trade. Isn't that right, honey? It's like that's the only people that heard that That was the message for those people. It wasn't for like some fucking dude in a steel mill in Pittsburgh going, hell yeah, that's the reason I love democratizing China. I know industry has left my city and now it's a ghost town, but fuck, man, China got a democracy. That's why I keep voting for the Democratic Party, baby.
Trade market, too entangled
Also,
to fight
like,
with each other.
Did
In
Saudi
fact, quite the
Arabia
opposite has
become a
happened.
democracy?
Relations between-
Where did the democracy happen from cash injections? You're muted.
Where did this narrative come from?
Clinton. Clinton believed it's like the Clinton foreign policy. Like
That
it
by
also-
cash injections you would grow.
Yeah, well, also like it
Or it would
also
become-
you have to think about like how China was positioning themselves to tease America, you know,
Mm.
because they know that they're these capitalist pigs, right? So they're like teasing it, like oh, flailing their skirt, being like, oh, baby, capitalism is right for me, but I don't know, you know. And America gets those pheromones, and it gets the wolf eyes, and it floats on over, panting, you know.
Yeah.
Between the world's two largest economies are at their most tense in years.
After joining the global economy, China got
Hey,
really
there
rich
he
really
is.
fast.
Oh,
They kind
downgrade.
of started to challenge the U.S. at its own game. And now they
Downgrade.
have one.
No, this is literally the Trump. This is the Trump policy.
I
that
just
was,
love
like, too
dictators
far-
on the cars, bro. It's one of the
It's so
funniest
funny.
things. She is the funniest one because at least Hu Jintao, you can tell he was moving his lips and talking to the people. She is
yeah.
like, I am Winnie the Pooh. Worship me like a god.
It's even funnier that there's a Winnie the Pooh toy where he's sticking out of the roof. And though it's instantly used as a meme.
Well, I made,
So
I
funny.
made, well, I didn't make it. I sent the template to a meme page that did like democracy, like memes,
Yeah.
right? And it's like two scenes from Winnie the Pooh, and it's like Winnie the Pooh's stuck in Rabbit's house, and his butt's
Yeah.
hanging out, and then eventually Rabbit like draws a face on it and puts a shelf there.
That's funny.
And like I don't remember what the joke was at the time, but basically just like China like basically pretending shit.
Hold on. Where's the other one? We'll go with this one. Something like this.
Yeah, that's literally him. That's literally him.
It's just him chilling in his car.
right for other capitalist Americans who vote for the Republican Party consistently.
Did you hear China's doing more gaming crackdowns?
No, but I'm not surprised.
Want to guess what they cracked down on this time?
Well, they already did time that kids can log in. They did
Uh-huh.
microtransactions.
That's what this had to do with.
Oh, it was the microtransaction one?
Kind of.
Yeah, I already knew about that.
It has more to do with that style of gaming.
Okay. It's is it like guaranteed drops or something like that, or is
Stuff,
like
that's closer. It's daily rewards.
oh okay.
So
See, I
daily
kind of
rewards, stuff that anything that gets you like if you gamble a certain amount of times and it gives you like an
Mhm.
extra free spin if you gamble a
Yeah.
certain amount of times, that's out. Right. So
Okay.
it's more gambling mechanics that are like
okay. You know what? Rare. I agree.
that's what everyone's saying is rare China W on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the daily reward login thing is a joke. It shouldn't exist.
It's
You should only be able to earn things through experience, time like time played. That's it. The gambling mechanics, the login, daily login stuff. It's a joke. It's addiction
like
building.
it shows that it's addiction building, but it shows time and time again that people don't like those types of games, right?
Mm.
But companies kept doing them because it was making them money.
Yeah.
And that's where they talk about capitalism breeds innovation. It's the better product. No, it's not.
Mm.
It's the product that
Yeah,
makes
no,
more
it's
money.
not. Yeah, exactly. The better product ended in 2012. 14 maybe. But like most
the
games have
Xbox
been pretty
360,
shit.
that after that, it's over.
Mhm.
Like,
Pretty much.
bro, you remember
Pretty
when
much.
games came on cartridges and like as long as the cartridge got in its pins correctly, no loading screens.
Yeah, yeah. Remember when you didn't have to download 110 gigabytes of a game? It would just play off the disc. That was nice.
Well, the disc would also
Remember when
have-
you wouldn't
disc
run
would have
out of
loading
fucking
screens.
memory space because you have to download games and a terabyte downloads 5 fucking games?
play less graphically intensive games.
Sure,
Like
that's
Earth
fine,
Defense Force.
and that's fine. I just want the quality behind it. That's all. It's not that hard. It really isn't that hard. You also have to allow game devs to be able to make their game at the pace that they need to make it the product that they want to make it.
Capitalism has failed, though. It's too capitalist out.
It has failed. And one of the biggest failures of gaming capitalism? Bungie.
You know who is still figuring it out? And somehow
Who?
they're like one of the worst companies, Nintendo, right? Switch knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Right? They're so smart. They're going for the handhelds with the DS when they went for them.
Mm-hmm. Great choice. And now they've stagnated because they can't innovate, and they went.
Well,
from the Wii
apparently
U
they're
to the
about to
Switch.
release a Switch 2.
Okay, I'm interested. I'm very interested. Also, still cartridge games. Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're card because they're SD cards basically.
Sure.
Which it's still pin reading though.
Yeah. But yeah, Bungie. I still think that Bungie got the worst end of the deal with the whole gaming capitalism bullshit that's been happening recently. I mean, first Activision fucks them over and ruins their game. Then they get, well, no, actually it was Microsoft. First they get released from Microsoft. Then Activision picks them up, fucks them over, drops them. And then they've been flailing, and now Sony's picked them up. So we'll see.
Well, Blizzard had them for a minute.
They did, yeah, that's right.
Activision Blizzard, you know?
Yeah. And I think... No,
Who
it was
cares?
Activision.
Who
Activision was the one that fucked them up initially. Anyway,
It was well, I think Activision acquired Blizzard first.
yeah.
Is literally the reason
Off
why
topic, we did a
Republicans
Hassan.
want Ron DeSantis to be the president. Okay, they want Ron DeSantis to be the candidate. This exact thing. Trump's attitude towards China is unironically it plays a major role in the minds of capital owners in America that are otherwise very right wing. Okay.
What?
One of the biggest militaries on the planet.
Wait.
They use that military to assert their influence around
does
the
he think that capital investment is pulling out of China because of Trump being racist? Is that what we think? Or do we think people are just
Sure.
not stupid?
Could
And like
be one of both.
see the economy. Like I just told you, take your money, put it in Ghana, right? Ethiopia, Kenya,
It's a bad idea.
Vietnam.
Mm.
China isn't
Very
so
good
hot
mention.
for investment right now.
Not right now.
China. Look, I'm sorry, man, but if you defend fucking Norway and Sweden and all these other countries, but then you look at China and you say, no, that's actually unacceptable. They're like really bad and they're villains. Like you're kind of missing the
no.
point. I
The
at least
leader
defend
is.
Norway and all these other fucking countries
The
when it comes
leader
to
is a
their
villain.
own economic governance
Yeah.
and say America should move in that direction.
Hu Jintao
region.
was
They use
fine.
their newfound wealth to project influence around
Yeah,
the
he was
world
fine.
by building stuff or giving
even
loans
if we
to people.
even
and they're
if
kind of trying
even
to
if we're against like his policies, right? Even if we're against his
Mm.
policies, he wasn't like an instigator in the same way, right?
No, he was very kept to himself, sort of.
Well, he
focusing on
also he was
China.
willing to work with other countries. He was willing
Yeah.
to participate in the world, you know? Like
Yeah.
Xi Jinping wants to be like an isolationist who controls things.
Mhm.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. An expansionist, isolationist.
Hmm I call it
Fascist.
isolation imperialism, which is also what Trump is, an isolation imperialist.
Mm-hmm. Fascist.
dethrone the United States as the one
China is authoritarian, not defendable. You're right.
who's calling the shots.
I mean, China is authoritarian. That much is 100% true. However, its citizens
I think it's
seemingly
Xi
like their own
Jinping
government
is
better than we
undefendable,
do,
not China
better than we like
itself.
ours.
Yeah.
Not even
China
the
is an
Communist
authoritarian
Party.
government, I say. Unlike the United States of America.
You
which
don't
is
think
not
they're
authoritarian.
undefendable?
I just think Xi is undefendable, not China itself.
I would say it's the entire party, but
Well, the party apparatus put him there. But
the party apparatus also did Tiananmen and all that other shit too.
yeah,
so-
yeah, of course. But
Fuck
like
party.
the same thing with Vietnam is like
Mm.
I don't consider it any worse than Vietnam, you know?
Sure.
Saudi Arabia is fucking awful. Like it's so shit. They may not fucking be openly doing a genocide, but like, hey, if
Mm.
you're a Bedouin who wants to not have his land be built for the wall city and you say no, you're definitely dying.
Authoritarian at all and perfectly free.
You know,
shocks
and like
on the global
Xi is
economic
the
order.
same
I made a
type
whole
of
video-
dude. So MBS imprisoned his own mother. Like, isn't that
Uh-huh.
such a Xi Jinping thing to do? Is imprison your
Yeah.
own mother? Wouldn't you expect it from him?
Yeah, I really would. She's told him off a few too many times.
Yeah.
I'm the powerful one now, mummy.
Considering his history, you know, like his mother
Yeah.
snitched on his father. You know,
Mm,
he's probably got issues.
yeah.
About this that you can go watch if you want, but the big point here is that the US is worried about the rapid rise of their rival across the ocean, especially when the rise of
Are
that
they?
rival is in part fueled by American technology.
Because if they speak out against their government, they go to jail. Yeah, no, that's why their metrics are objectively metrics by Western standards, like Western studies conducted in China that have no interest in making China look good or making the Chinese governors look good, have found that there is 90% support.
Yeah, okay.
90% support for the government. And that's
Okay.
because everybody loves when you fucking jail people that don't say they love the government. It could be that. I'm sure that
It is.
accounts, like fear accounts for a certain percentage on these arguments, right? I'm not going to
Also,
discount that at all.
it's a culture. The way the
Yeah.
minds are shaped, you know? Like you look at like you ever talk to like people from Russia? Like they need like conditioning. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it takes them a while to like really accept things how they are.
Yes, they're very stubborn.
Well, because it's just because it's literally entirely different. Like everything they're being told is completely different, you know, and that
Yeah.
leaks into some sides of us in
Mhm.
here, you know, and like where these overlaps are.
Or there's probably another reason, and that is economic prosperity that like every Chinese person has seen in their lifetimes, leading them to legitimately believe that the government has improved their lives by massive margins, which is objectively the truth. So
I bet you they think that now.
what's up? Oh,
Yeah,
say one
I
good
mean,
thing about
we
America.
know that
I love
support
America.
has lowered. I mean, but yeah, like it definitely was improving lives
Mm.
for
American free
like
speech,
a
baby.
majority of
Yeah.
the urban population.
It allows me to be able to say whatever the fuck I want without being truly afraid of being jailed. You know what I mean?
Specifically, these little silicon chips, microchips, that make
Yeah.
weapons smart, and that will be the brains that power the AI revolution.
Yes.
A lot of Joe Biden's protectionist policies are actually just aimed right at China, trying to stop them from using
AI
our own tech
revolution.
to get ahead of us. Again, I made an entire video about microchips. You can go to that.
AI
I made a video about a
revolution,
lot of
he
these
said.
things. But yeah, Joe Biden is also trying to get the supply chains for these microchips out of China's neighborhood, meaning out of
Bro,
Taiwan, bringing them back
Johnny.
inside our borders to places like New Albany.
Johnny, it's just the F-35, all right? China needs chips for things like F-35s. They can't build those fucking high-end fighters without the chips, Johnny.
No,
It's
they're
that
very,
simple.
very behind.
What
too,
do they
like,
need
they're-
to invade Taiwan?
They're about 10 years behind.
Albany, Ohio, nice and safe in the middle of our continent. So you're going to see a lot more moments like this with American presidents or politicians with hard hats on speaking at construction
When
sites.
haven't we?
Folks, we need to make
I mean, I don't
these
have an
chips.
issue with this. I don't have an issue with this at all. I think this is good. I think we should manufacture things in the United States of America. I
Okay,
do.
so
It's
we've
just that
been
we should
crying this
also
whole
add
time for?
additional safeguards
Yeah.
on top of that to ensure that the manufacturing facilities are also working at the behest of the workers and not necessarily just capital owners.
Right here in America to bring down everyday cost and create good jobs.
Well,
America
that's
is
why
back and
Joe
America's
Biden
leading the
called
way.
himself the most pro-union president.
Mm.
And he only struck down the unions you were bitching about already.
This last point is kind of a brutal recognition for a lot of people, including me, to be honest, that our theory that we would all be more peaceful if we were more economically entangled is kind of wrong, at least for now. In fact, these economic entanglements are looking like they might turn into tools of conflict as opposed to
course they
preventers of
are.
conflict.
Oh,
like
come
China,
on.
Yeah, America loves free trade so much that they have to go to
No.
the Netherlands to be like, if
Look, bro. It's economics allow for a new system of conflict that doesn't like it's not direct warfare.
Yes. Now, warfare has evolved.
if you give China your new semiconductor processing technology, we will do things that are not necessarily favorable to you. Okay? If you do that, which is in the name of free trade, I order you to not do that. Has a policy of not covering breaking news, by the way. Who, me? Do you think that this is breaking news? The only thing breaking is your brain, I think.
Oh, nobody cares.
What is the breaking part?
Monopoly on
So
a lot of the
Hassan
rare
is mad
earth elements
because
that
America says to certain people that they can't sell certain products to certain countries. Hmm.
That's what it sounds like.
Okay. Again,
We need to make a
my
ton of-
computers in school are now killing Ukrainians, so
Yeah.
I don't really give a shit.
very important products, including military weapons. And if push comes to shove, they could very realistically use this as leverage and cut us off in the exact same way that we cut them off microchips. I mean, this just happened. Vladimir Putin turned off the pipelines that pumped natural gas into Europe. The gas that is needed to heat the homes.
And then guess what happened? It got blown the fuck up. Suck shit. Fucking
Come on, bro. Harris, this fucking idiot, bro. They're just buying it. They're buying it from Azerbaijan through an intermediary. Nothing fucking changed.
Nothing changed.
Fucking idiots.
And run the factories, showing
Fucking
us
helped
that
fuel the fucking Armenian genocide along with the Ukrainian one. Good job,
Yeah.
Europe. Great as always.
They definitely
Right.
didn't,
So good.
That's why Europe is
Excellent
heatless.
culture.
And Europe definitely never actually figured out other ways around getting Russian gas into Europe.
economic entanglements can actually be a weapon.
Hey,
and flipping this whole theory on
genocide.
its head. But yeah, Joe Biden.
What?
Hassan's brain is an AI language algorithm trained on Jacobin magazine.
Is pouring money into bringing production home, and he has a lot of support from all sides of the aisle. This is like economic nationalism. The government is getting involved to undo some of what the free market did in its heyday, which was to distribute production of stuff where it made the most economic sense, not where it protected people.
Not me.
China bad, U.S. not as bad. Why is the controversial take in this chat, Lamau? Because it's just objectively untrue.
What?
That's the reason why it's not a controversial take in this.
How?
That's the reason why it's a
Bro, Hassan actually believes the U.S. is like morally on par with China.
I think he does. Like,
Bro,
unironically.
I mean, like, there's countries we can say are.
Yeah.
I mean, what about Israel? Like, they're pretty fucking bad. And literally nobody really wants to work with Israel. They just get forced into fucking relationships, right?
controversial take in this chat. It's ridiculous and also objectively untrue, and I will stand by that. Does not mean that like America has better civil liberties. That's insane. Yeah, it's insane to you.
It is
America
insane.
has better civil liberties. America is the hegemonic superpower. Gives
But
certain
China has
allowances to
socialism,
people.
and they take care of their people, and they make sure nobody's poor, and they do shitty planning where they build the Go City and the bus stop, and then later the people move in, and then it's like, hey, the bus stop is already here.
Like myself to be able to shit talk the government. Okay.
Good for
But
you.
as far as like the death and destruction that the United States of
They
America
also
has dealt
allow
at
you
the
to
global
make
level
all your
as the
capitalist money that you don't invest in like anything
Hmm.
that would actually bring about your
Hegemonic power.
values that you claim to have and fight for.
Yeah.
is incomprehensible in comparison to China. You get fucking mad about Hong Kong, right? And there are
Oh my God,
authoritarian
it's just
elements.
him talking from
in
now on.
I'm good.
China.
Are we
I
done?
I want to hear
Huh?
about him. I want to hear about Hong Kong. I want to hear him
taking
justify
over
the
Hong Kong in
crackdown.
its entirety and implementing extradition policies, right?
Yeah.
However, this pales in comparison to like, I don't know, fucking what we've done in Hawaii, Puerto Rico being a current territory. You never compare it from like the American.
Puerto
metrics.
Rico
You
is
don't
about to
apply
become
the
a
same-
state because
Good,
majority
make
of the
Puerto Rico a
population
state.
wants to be a state.
They're
Bro,
already
like,
citizens, right?
how about you just say like the U.S. still has colonies? You know, you could try there, even though
It's
that,
a very
like,
easy way.
bro, even though like these colonies, like they just came up where they could have left and they like said, give us $1 million basically to the United States and we'll stay, which is what happened because they don't want to have to fucking have their own navy to protect their like exports, you know?
Yeah.
But like,
It's much easier to have the US do it.
bro, like, how about something from like this decade, like last 5 years, please?
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Like we can play the fucking history game all day with every fucking country, bro.
Every country. Every single one.
Same
Even China
criticism that you
helped
apply
fight
to China
ISIS.
as you do to America. And this is before we even talk about the war on terror. Okay?
Uh-huh. Already
fucking
already
coup
had
d'etats.
it. Yeah,
And for the
called
record,
it
China
already.
never coup de country. Also, not necessarily true. China definitely also, as a regional player, engages in not destabilization or what they consider to be an act of stability.
At least
Also, I don't like
China
China sterilizing an ethnic minority. It's not equivalent to Puerto Rico. Yes, many wars were unjustified. No, you're just doing copium. You're looking at Xinjiang, and you're saying that the cultural genocide of the Uyghurs, which was completely unacceptable, and I do agree with, I guess, anyone that would be critical of that. You're comparing that as the most evil thing a country can do, and comparing it to possibly the Holocaust, even, which would be Holocaust revisionism regardless.
Bro,
while simultaneously,
no. It's happening now. Is the issue
Right now?
We can't. We literally don't have an ability to go back and like stop America from doing those things. We can only try to attempt it in the future. So why the fuck wouldn't we still be trying to prevent genocide elsewhere?
Exactly.
Do we not care about what Israel's doing in Palestine? Do we not care what's happening in Ukraine?
I guess
like
not.
what about the fucking, like, you see this there's this genocide apologia that went around that was saying that the Tigrayans were genociding the Amhara, but it was recognizing other genocides and shit. And I didn't even see it at first. Like, well, like, what about the hunger instability there? I'm not going to say this is another deliberate famine that Tigray is now having again after they had one in the 70s, 80s. Deliberate famine.
Yeah. And now it's being inflicted via siege too, or was. It's even more brutal. So
yeah, they won't allow the UN trucks in.
It's fucking
Nobody
crazy.
cares. Nobody says shit. 90% of the civilization is starving to death.
It's crazy. But Hassan just wants to defend China.
overlooking the fact that America literally did the war on terror, which pound for pound, significantly worse for the fucking planet. Therefore, if you were to analyze what China did in Xinjiang, which was fucking unacceptable, okay, re-education camps, and claiming that they were doing it simply to deal with separatists, it was an act of collective punishment upon an entire fucking group of people, okay? But the idea that the horrifying
does she know that does she know
China's
like America
cultural
killed less people than like Al Qaeda?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure he does.
Like, does he not understand that Al Qaeda was already like what about the Black Decade in Algeria, right? You know, like these guys came over after the war in Afghanistan, right? And so like Algeria basically like they did a total media blackout to basically commit genocide against their extremists, you know?
Yeah.
And like all these torture camps that they sent these people to, right?
Yeah.
Because of a combination of communism and capitalism that came out into be this type of fascism and nationalism and all these governments, right? So like Al Qaeda was already in all these places. Al Qaeda was already rising. Like Mogadishu had already happened, you know? Like these extremist insurgencies were already trying to take place. There was already Al Qaeda in Iraq fighting against Saddam.
They were just waiting for an opportunity.
I mean, they were trying their best.
Yeah.
You know, like the fact that we invaded, there was 2 different active Al Qaeda factions in the north.
Okay.
You know,
one
based, yeah, and the other one's based in Mosul. They're both the same group though. It's like Ansar al-Sunnah and Ansar al-Islam. Ansar al-Islam is the Kurdish one.
Yeah.
But like they did the big attack on the American base in
Recently.
2004. No, in 2004 they like killed a shitload of Americans in Mosul. Then they were like the most successful terrorist attack against an American base in Iraq because they were Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
They were the only faction that like was Al Qaeda from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, and what was Zarqawi's goal? Do you know what it was? It's to kill the King of Jordan. That was his goal the whole time.
That's it?
Yeah, that's why he was in Iraq, to gain the power to take over Iraq, to kill the King of Jordan. King of Jordan, his father tortured him.
Fair enough.
You know,
Muslims, okay, that they consider to be.
He also wanted to destroy Iran
is
because
anywhere
she is
equivalent to like what Israel, our ally, an extension of the United States, is doing in fucking Gaza is fucking wrong. The notion that also we did not.
Yeah.
I know. I like that you also mentioned China sterilizing an ethnic minority, and then said this is not equivalent to Puerto Rico. We literally did sterilize Puerto Rican women, and also we did sterilize the indigenous population. So, and we continued to do so. As a matter of fact,
last 5 years. You know, like
Yeah.
Israel is committing a genocide now.
Now.
What are we doing about it?
Yeah. China is doing it now. China is currently operating.
And we've actually
eugenics.
mitigated it. You know,
Oh, no,
we've
no, no,
actually done a
it's-
lot to
wait,
mitigate
wait.
it.
It's literal eugenics. China is
Mm-hmm.
literally undergoing eugenics in Xinjiang. They are replacing Uyghur families with Han Chinese people to breed out the Uyghurs. It is literal eugenics. Like, this is Nazi shit. But Hassan doesn't want to bring this up. It's just a cultural genocide. It's just that. But it's not just that. It's not just that. It's China taking all Islam out of China. They're attacking mosques in the south of China too, where there are Han Muslims. So it's not just them. It's a wider thing. It's much more of a crackdown of faith, because the CCP can't be God if there is God.
Well, that's why
So-
I say that one of the big failures of communism, like actually helping the third world, is that it was anti-religious.
Mm.
Capitalism still
Yeah.
allowed for religion.
Mm-hmm. It did.
But like, so like, look at the mitigations we've already like. There's been millions of lives saved through mitigations that have mostly come from regulating capitalists,
Mm.
right? Where most of the mitigation has come. Why can't we do that with Israel? Imagine how many people would have, not died if mitigations were being done, and active mitigations like we did. Yeah, well, I mean, it took like 3 years for once we got that fucking video, that was like in September of like 2019 or 20, when we got that video of people being led to trains, then it was like no more. Then
Yeah.
people actually got serious.
Yeah. Because it was like actual imagery reflecting the Holocaust.
Yeah, I mean, it was like
anything
brutal
before
imagery.
that though is nothing, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's literally the images that caused everything to change. Is those
Yeah.
that drone video that got out.
Okay. Are we going to sit through another 8 minutes of just him?
Oh, no.
talking? Okay. Well,
We
it
already
is
know
8
what he's
o'clock.
doing.
Yeah. Well, it's 8 o'clock, so
I think
have to down.
there's a Young Turks thing.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll
I-
have to look
I
at that
said-
later.
Yeah. But I'll keep these ones open, and on the next one we'll start with the next 3 that
Mhm,
we'll
just
go
save
do.
'em.
There's some good ones in here that I actually wanted to watch, but we didn't get time.
Thanks. Hassan.
Tomorrow?
Mhm.
Do tomorrow?
Sure. Same bat time, same bat place.
Yeah, something like that. What are we-
Life. There's roadblocks.
I was